Stick with me here. Our guy wakes up completely lost inside some weird purple void. In his hands, a sacred stone glowing with this creepy, sinister energy he's never seen before. Pitch black feathers start falling from the sky as he reaches out toward that weird glowing light. Suddenly his eyes flash this bright purple, reflecting the wings of someone coming closer. Then, boom, a woman rocking massive black wings floats right down from the sky above him. He just stares, completely stunned by this random guest. Turns out, this whole other world is basically run by two huge forces. Starting off with these terrifying demons and their eternal rivals, the divine spirits, a literal army of angel warriors. For literal ages, these two sides were stuck in a brutal war that wrecked the world, which finally ended with a massive, decisive win for the demons. Bad news for the angels. About 10 years ago, the winners set their sights on a brand new prize, the human world. Humanity was completely defenseless against the invasion, just getting crushed by the demon army. Now pay attention here. Just when all hope seemed lost, something new popped out the portals. The surviving divine spirits appeared, offering insane power to any human willing to fight, handing them spirit strength through these glowing blue crystals, empowered by this epic new gift. Humanity finally stood a chance against the demon hordes, calling themselves absolute badasses, hunters. They became the world's last line of defense, which brings us to today, roughly 10 kilometers right outside the outskirts of Tokyo. A team of 3 hunters stands ready right outside a glowing purple portal. Ready for their next mission. It is a ranky dungeon, something Gino, Camilla, and Mito treat like an absolute joke. Gino's crew does one last check of their raid supplies, which are super conveniently loaded onto their very own personal pack mule for the mission. A rank F hunter named Makoto Azuka, who honestly seems pretty chill with the setup. The others walk in, telling their wannabe hunter boy to just carry the bags and stay out of the actual fight. And honestly, Makoto has heard this all before, so the insult barely phases him. See, for hunters, real power comes from a sacred stone showing up in their hand, which actually lets them form a contract with a divine spirit to unlock abilities. Let's jump back 2 years to see how this all started. A younger Makoto is crazy hyped to find a sacred stone right in his hand. Gripping it tight, he swears no more tragedies will happen, promising to get super strong and protect everyone. Turns out his parents were straight up murdered by demons during a portal break right in front of him. That little blue crystal was the literal only thing giving him a reason to keep pushing. So he instantly throws himself into an insane daily training routine without stopping, pushing himself to the absolute limit with thousands of sword swings. He actually manages to pull off 1,000 of them in under an hour, which is completely wild. Without even catching his breath, he decides running 20 kilometers is up next on the agenda. But a couple of guys training nearby definitely recognize him. They start making fun of him from afar, loudly calling him a total fake hunter. Because for 2 whole years, Zero Spirits answered his call, leaving him with just a stone and a trash reputation. He tried joining a party once but got brutally rejected. The team leader basically called him absolute dead weight they would have to babysit during fights. Even with a busted lip, Makoto insists he trained hard and can hold his own, but the dude totally shuts him down. Without a spirit, all that training is completely pointless. They tell him to stop playing pretend, saying his very existence just embarrasses all the real hunters. Alone in the literal trash, our boy clutches the stone that was supposed to be his hope. He has been at this for 2 years, desperately wondering why he is the only one left behind, watching everyone else turn into total heroes, only locked in his status as an absolute outcast. Meanwhile, back in the current ranky dungeon, a fire bull demon makes a grand entrance. Ino and his low-tier fire spirit, Flame, step right up. He easily handles one of the monsters, while Mito and her water spirit follow right behind, casually blasting another one into absolute oblivion. Then Camilla finishes clearing the room by frying a goblin with her electric-type spirit, F-path totally cleared. The trio acts super cocky about how incredibly easy this whole thing is. But then Ino spots a tiny bat demon sneaking right up toward their pack mule. Makoto screams a warning, pointing at the monster right behind our distracted guy. just as the demon lunges in, ready to rip a chunk right out of Makoto's head. "Trust me, watch this." Our guy spins, sword ready, swearing to kill it because he's a hunter too, and right, stick with me here, you and I are watching the ultimate betrayal. The bully laughs, calling our mate a pathetic loser who will never get a spirit anyway. Makoto absolutely freezes. He realizes his own teammate actually thinks leaving him to die is a fitting end for a fake. Gino's harsh words hit dead center, and Makoto realizes he is locked in with the beast. Total panic sets in. He angrily curses himself for trusting these absolute clowns for even a second. But there is zero time to think. The bat demon lunges. He blocks the strike on pure instinct, only for the monster to catch his blade barehanded, looking completely bored and totally unbothered. Yeah, just as he feared, physical attacks are bloody useless without the power of a spirit. The demon easily swats his sword away. Things look properly grim until a sudden burst of fire incinerates the monster, courtesy of Hino's spirit. His would-be killer just strolls up, casually asking if he is all right. Makoto, completely shocked right now, barely manages to thank him for the last-minute rescue. But Ino just keeps walking, brushing it off like absolutely nothing. He pats his back, cheeky as ever, saying his moves were not too bad for a fake. Our lad is completely baffled by this sudden personality flip. Is this bloke for real? He explains his non-stop training, hoping to finally land a pact. Ino feeds him some fake encouragement, hoping he gets a spirit someday. Poor Makoto actually buys it. He figures even a tiny bit of pity is better than nothing at all. Now watch closely here, this is where everything changes. Ino looks back at his grinning mates, flashing a cruel smirk. The whole thing was just a sick prank. They finally reach the boss room, deep down in the E-rank dungeon. Ino stops the squad and turns to Makoto to spin a little story, explaining how different demons actually have very unique traits and even specific daily routines. Always the student, Makoto asks if he means exploiting the demon's predictable patterns. Ino grins and says, "Spot on," right before violently shoving Makoto straight into the bloody boss room. The massive portal slams shut. He pounds on it in pure panic, instantly realizing he fell for their cheeky act, cursing his own silly naivety. The absolute terror of betrayal washes over him, trapped completely alone in the dark. A sudden noise behind makes him spin around. Heart thumping out of his chest, he comes face to face with the dungeon boss, a giant bull demon named Vegemot. Our bloke is completely frozen solid, staring up as the monster's shadow swallows him entirely, without any warning. Vegemot drops a massive fist to crush him flat. Meanwhile, his rubbish teammates are just chilling outside, confidently declaring him dead, but the attack misses, carving a huge crater exactly where Makoto just stood. Left gasping for air, he knows his chances against this thing are basically zero. You and I both see it, a glimmer of hope. The beast isn't fully awake yet. Spotting a small gap in the cave wall, he finds a potential survival path. With no other option, Makoto sprints full speed toward the light. Vegemot is absolutely not having it, letting out a furious roar while chasing after him. Our lad runs for his life as the monster closes in, adrenaline fueling every step. Just as he reaches it, the demon chucks a massive boulder, completely sealing the exit. Makoto looks back in absolute horror. His only escape route is totally gone now. From the monster's view, he is just a cornered rat with nowhere to run, trapped by Vegemot. Makoto desperately hunts for any survival chance, and the sheer hopelessness of the situation finally hits hard. Talk about a rubbish day at work. A flash of his parents' passing reminds him he has achieved absolutely none of his goals. Fueled by pure rage, he screams that he absolutely refuses to die in this place. Suddenly, his holy stone cracks under pressure, violently erupting with a bizarre, glowing purple energy. The whole thing explodes right in his hand, unleashing an absolutely wild surge of dark power. This dark energy swirls around him as falling black feathers. He looks confused before a massive shockwave explodes outward, instantly tripping the giant Vegemot. Suddenly, the entire cave completely vanishes, leaving Makoto kneeling in a weird purple void. He looks down to see his holy stone pulsing with a totally new, sinister energy. Black feathers start falling from above as he reaches out toward that strange light. His eyes suddenly glow vibrant purple, reflecting wings. You and I just witnessed something wild. All right, stick with me here. You are about to see a woman with massive black wings float right down from the sky. Our boy is left completely speechless. Talk about dramatic. She elegantly reaches out, calling him just human, which, yeah, fair enough, and then cuts straight to the chase, offering to form a legendary pact with him. Meanwhile, back in reality, the behemoth is mere seconds away from completely crushing the dark sphere protecting Makoto. Her voice echoes again, pushing him to make the pact while a single feather floats nearby. Makoto's brain is scrambling to process this while she tells him to hurry up. She warns him this tiny pocket dimension is about to totally collapse. So it is literally now or never. Floating right in front of him, she lays out the final choice: make the pact or don't. Her piercing golden eyes practically daring him to reject it. Finally, it hits Makoto that this is his divine spirit, making the answer super obvious, so he reaches his hand right out, ready to accept and finally grab the power to fight alongside someone. Their hands lock together in a blinding purple flash, sealing this epic deal forever. And with a super calm smile, she confirms the pact is now officially complete. A massive surge of dark, shadowy energy flows from her straight into his arm, embedding the sacred stone right into the back of his hand with a sinister glow. He soaks in that wild power. Now watch closely, because back in the cave, he is ready to face this behemoth without a single drop of fear left. Our guy drops into a solid sword stance, looking like a totally different person, just as the massive monster charges straight at him. Ready to finish the job, he can feel the insane pressure of its charge, which feels even stronger now, and the monster's face is just pure, unadulterated rage. It is clearly pissed that its lunch is still standing, but Makoto holds his ground, knowing he is not the same weakling from a minute ago. The beast throws a massive strike, but our boy dodges with absolutely incredible speed, moving across the cave floor so incredibly fast that he cracks the stone where he lands. He is amazed a light kick sent him flying, so this is divine spirit power. And a brand new confidence surges through him as he grips his sword hilt. Flashing a wild smirk, he announces it is finally his turn to strike back, with his eyes glowing deep purple. Makoto is fully locked in because he knows a spirit's power is the only real way to fight back against these nasty demons. But as the behemoth roars, our guy suddenly realizes he forgot one super tiny detail. What are his actual powers? He charges forward anyway, hoping for the best, because standing still is a literal death sentence. And while running for his life, he yells at his new partner, demanding to know her skills, only to be totally dumbfounded hearing a voice inside his head. Yep, that is telepathy for you. A Chibai spirit version pops up, casually saying she just forgot to mention it. Then she has the nerve to blame him for not asking while he is busy trying not to get eaten. No time to argue, because the behemoth's massive claws slam down, missing by mere inches and totally pulverizing the ground where he just stood. Right after the dust finally settles down, he spots a shadowy monster version. I know what you're thinking, and yes, he finally connects the dots, asking if shadow manipulation is his big power. His spirit confirms it while dark energy keeps pouring out of the stone on his hand, explaining that when they are together, his arm is basically hers, a super clingy partnership deal. This skill is called Rebel Shadow. She swirls his fingers with a dark glow, letting him freely control shadows if he can just focus enough to understand it. So right in the middle of combat, our boy takes a quick second to meditate, closing his eyes to focus on this crazy new complex set of powers. As he clenches his fist, the dark energy starts taking solid form, manifesting into a badass shadow sword, much to his own total surprise. His spirit explains the shiny new power is called Shadow Weapon, which means creating pointy things, and a super confident smirk spreads right across Makoto's face. He is really feeling the upgrade, gripping his new blade and declaring this is more than enough to turn the tables. Facing the behemoth now, he is finally ready to throw down instead of just running away, even taunting the monster that he won't leave any openings this time around. This behemoth clearly hates the trash talk, whipping its massive tail with absolutely insane speed. But the attack just smashes the floor because Makoto is already gone. With his crazy new spirit-boosted agility, he easily dodges the heavy strike. Looking unfazed, and trust me, we will never forget this purple flash as he slices its tail clean off. The massive beast stumbles forward. Now looking proper short in the backside department, his shadow blade hums loudly, having done its bloody job with absolute brutal efficiency. For once, the behemoth looks genuinely gobsmacked. You and I are about to see absolute madness. The beast is bricking it, but Makoto gives zero breathing room, attacking right now. He launches skyward, bringing that shadow sword down for a cracking finishing blow. Only for the dodgy monster to raise a massive arm, learning from its last blunder. The blade crashes into tough skin, and the sheer blocking force sends our boy flying backwards. Forcing Makoto to clock the grim truth, this giant beast has measured his reach and totally adapted. Spotting the opening, the behemoth lunges forward, swiping with razor claws that tear massive bloody trenches right into the stone floor where he was just standing. So our lad is back on defense, desperately creating distance while the raging monster chases. Makoto channels pure dark energy, forming an absolutely massive shadow scythe from his arm. Then he pulls a mental aerial spin, bringing the blade down in a devastating arc, and cleanly slices the behemoth's entire upper torso with zero resistance. The monster drops one gurgling scream. Totally gobsmacked by this sudden bonkers turn of events, right before its massive heavy body completely slumps lifeless onto the cold cave floor. Finally battered, standing over the fresh corpse, Makoto smirks, confirming his cheeky hunch that shadows can literally become anything at all. But a blinding pillar of light suddenly shoots from the ceiling, targeting the body, which just explodes in a blinding flash, looking like it gets fully purified or something. Our bloke is hovering there watching the light show from a safe distance. He is probably well confused when a sudden flashback hits, remembering being called a useless sacred stone waste, with cruel voices mocking him for being a fake hunter who would never get spirits. But clenching his fist tight, he knows absolutely none of that was bloody useless, because he has been sharpening his fangs this whole time. Now watch this part closely, mates, he roars, declaring this is his grand moment. Suddenly, the behemoth's dead corpse actually starts shaking and twitching right there. Its eye glows red while dark spikes sprout out, and the monster literally rebuilds itself with pure shadow energy. What an absolute sore loser. A monstrous shadow beast forms, lunging straight forward to absolutely devour him in one go. So Makoto slams the ground with his hand, unleashing his very own dark power wave. Sharp shadow spikes erupt from the ground, forming a protective cage around him, and his spirit just pops up casually, saying she will handle it no sweat. Makoto sincerely thanks his brand new partner, admitting she saved his life, but she just points backward, making it clear she only lent her bloody power and he did all the heavy lifting. Overwhelmed with sheer gratitude, he thanks her again for making a pact with him early on, but suddenly her expression goes dark, staring with some proper serious intensity. Though Makoto is way too busy marveling at his new shadow powers. Feeling like a proper hunter, he then asks if she is a high-ranking spirit. Since they just battered an E-rank boss together, from behind her massive wing, she drops a simple no, adding she is definitely not a divine spirit at all. Because she is actually a demon, which is a massively important little detail she casually skipped over. Makoto's brain completely short-circuits at this massive cheeky bombshell. Let's pause a second. You and I know the lore. Demons are the ultimate baddies who ruined the entire world and slaughtered the good spirits. Humans only survived by making divine spirit pacts to become actual fighting hunters. So our bloke is having a major breakdown, realizing he just teamed up with the literal enemy. His new demon partner looks slightly nervous at his reaction, probably not used to explaining she is proper evil. Trying to keep his cool, Makoto decides they should chat about the dodgy details later. Very mature response. Reaching the dungeon exit, the poor lad genuinely thinks the absolute worst is finally over now. Meanwhile, the rubbish group that ditched him shows up, casually assuming he is already digested. Makoto spots them, and his face just screams pure, unadulterated, raging anger. leaving them completely gobsmacked to see him alive, wondering where the bloody boss went. Then the ginger bloke finally spots the winged woman and realizes Makoto actually made a spirit pact. And these absolute cowards are panicking now, wondering what the hell they are supposed to do. This ginger bloke completely loses it as his squad realizes they are totally stuffed when Makoto speaks. So their absolutely brilliant solution is just murdering him, with the whole squad charging energy for round 2. So what do you and I reckon? Makoto just glares, a perfect mix of are you serious and try me. Alright, jump in with me right before the fists start flying. He turns to his partner and asks her name, which completely catches her off guard. She definitely wasn't expecting polite introductions right in the middle of a showdown. After a tiny pause, she finally answers. Her name is Rinoa. He says his own name back, asking to borrow her crazy power one more time, and instantly, thick shadows start surging everywhere around him. Even Rinoa herself looks pretty stunned by the raw intensity he is projecting right now. Meanwhile, that red-haired idiot gets back up, still totally convinced Makoto is just some weakling they can easily crush into dirt. His own tiny little fire spirit is practically begging him not to fight. It is clearly terrified of what it sees, straight up calling its master an idiot for missing the absolutely monstrous aura pouring out of Rinoa. Those other two cowards are also losing their nerve, with their own spirits violently shaking in fear. And the redhead's spirit admits it has absolutely no clue who she is, but her raw power is completely off the freaking charts. Rating her as holding the strength of a first-class divine spirit, literally the highest possible tier in existence. This huge news sends the entire squad into an absolute panic, because that is supposed to be mathematically impossible. Makoto hears this looking just as shocked as they are to learn his new partner is literally S tier. A quick little rundown of spirit ranks shows us that first class is the tiny, razor-sharp tip of a massive pyramid, which basically means she is easily one of the most overpowered beings to ever exist. With this crazy new information, Makoto turns right to Rinoa and demands to know who she really is. But she just points at the enemy, coldly telling him that they do not have time for a stupid question and answer session. Now the redhead violently stomps the ground, absolutely refusing to back down from this fight, screaming that Makoto is still just a useless loser who only got lucky with the boss. While his slightly smarter teammates realize that a pact with a first-class spirit makes all of that completely and utterly irrelevant right now. But the guy just calls them pathetic cowards, his massive ego clearly writing checks his body can never actually cash. Now watch closely because he charges forward ready to show Makoto true hunter power, whatever that means. But here is the thing. Makoto just casually watches the flaming fist fly straight toward his face, looking completely bored, catching the heavy punch effortlessly with just one hand and totally shutting down the attack. This leaves the redhead absolutely stunned that his massive signature move was literally just stopped. While our boy easily dodges the crazy flurry that follows, seeing every single movement in slow motion. There is even time to analyze the guy's fire magic before the redhead launches his ultimate strike. A massive blast of fire breath that Makoto easily counters with a super casual, shadow-powered flick of his hand, slicing the entire fiery explosion clean in half, completely shocking everyone who was watching it. To top it off, Makoto asks if he is even trying, a legendary insult, which makes the redhead's brain pretty much just blue screen from the sheer amount of disrespect. In a total fit of rage, he screams Makoto is just a weakling who got lucky with a strong spirit. A wild claim that gets a really cold smile from our boy, who is about to set the record straight. With shadows swirling around him, he actually admits the redhead made his pact way faster, though the key difference here is that Makoto literally never gave up on his dream. So the absolute power he earned through pure grit is something he would never call simple luck, leaving the bully with nothing but impotent rage as he loudly curses Makoto's name. You and I both know what happens next. He goes full anime villain, screaming about his ultimate secret technique to turn Makoto into ashes. Then he yells at his terrified teammates to jump into the action because it is literally life or death right now. Reluctantly, the other two start charging their own magic, finally realizing they are completely cornered. This whole squad combines their powers into a massive elemental explosion aimed straight at our boy. And they are already celebrating, with the redhead laughing that trash is always going to be trash. But when the thick smoke finally clears out, Makoto is just standing there entirely untouched by their attack. A crazy sight that sends the entire squad into a state of pure shock with their jaws on the floor. Makoto calmly explains that he sliced all their attacks, casually adding that the boss was much faster, which is a legendary insult. Taking one single deliberate step forward, he points out that playtime has officially come to an end. A terrifying giant shadow with glowing eyes manifests right behind him as he asks if they are ready for what happens next. The redhead's face is a beautifully perfect portrait of a man whose huge ego just shattered into a million tiny little pieces. He tries recovering, screaming, "Do not mess with me," while his hand is visibly shaking. And trust me, you're going to want to see his next pathetic lunge, insisting Makoto is just a wannabe. Stick with me here. Makoto's shadow sword meets that flame attack head-on, stopping the strike completely dead without even breaking a sweat, leaving his bully totally exposed and stunned, while our guy just stares right through his absolute panic. The bloke demands to know what on earth Makoto even is now. While dark energy builds up ominously in Makoto's open palm, he then clenches it into a tight fist, totally ready to end this little reunion. One single shadow-infused punch lands straight in the redhead's stomach with some absolutely brutal, overwhelming force, sending the guy flying backward, spitting blood and completely destroyed. With the sacred stone glowing in his hand, he finally declares himself a true hunter. His old teammates are absolutely losing their minds as their leader drops hard, and the redhead is just knocked out cold on the floor with his eyes rolled back. Honestly, a truly pathetic sight. Makoto stands over him, coldly telling the others to grab their mate and get out. Then he gives them one chilling final warning to keep their mouths shut about what happened here. These two cowards are practically tripping over themselves to obey, rushing to drag their broken leader away. While the redhead just mutters about his strength being gone. "Yeah, no kidding, mate." Makoto looks at the glowing stone in his fist, finally feeling the weight of his new power. When Rinoa pops up, a bit shocked that he just punched the bloke instead of, killing him, he just turns around and gives her a genuine smile, thanking her for fighting alongside him. And in response, she gives him this soft, warm smile, which is a massive step forward. Now that the rubbish has been cleared out, they remember they were midway through a super important chat. So Makoto cuts right to the chase, asking her to finally explain the whole "I am a demon" thing. Rinoa's hand shakes as she clenches her fist, clearly struggling with what to say next. And with her eyes closed, she takes a deep breath, preparing to reveal her past. Now watch closely because she drops an absolute bombshell. She was once a divine spirit from the angel race, but after some mysterious event, she fell from grace and became a demon. Which leaves Makoto completely gobsmacked, considering angels are literally one of the highest-ranking spirits in existence. Seeing his stunned reaction, Rinoa offers to end their pact right then and there if he wants out, telling him not to hesitate. Even though she looks absolutely terrified of his answer, Rinoa braces for rejection, explaining that for a demon, this is just how things go. But Makoto just listens with a totally serious face, taking it all in. Then, completely out of nowhere, he decides now is the perfect time for formal introductions. Dropping his full name and age like this is a first date, not a pact with some world-destroying entity. Rinoa is totally thrown off, wondering why on earth he is doing this right now of all moments. And Makoto clears it up, he will not cancel the pact, because he can tell she is not a bad person. This simple act of trust leaves her completely speechless, her eyes going wide in pure disbelief, while he smiles, explaining this is his way of showing he is counting on her from now on. Still trying to process this sudden, unconditional acceptance from a human she just met, she flashes a tiny smile, calls him a weirdo, and accepts the partnership. Makoto shoots her a super confident look. Their bond is now officially locked in. With that sorted, he turns to leave the dungeon, ready to finally head back home. And the two of them walk toward the exit together, a newly formed, crazy powerful team. You saw that right. From the shadows, a monstrous hand reaches out, watching them escape. Meanwhile, some wild-looking demon complains that the fallen angel Renoa actually went and betrayed them. Though his much calmer mate in a lab coat tells him to shut up, calling her betrayal totally irrelevant. That first demon just smiles maniacally, finding the whole situation incredibly funny, and he and his creepy-looking pal muse that they were hoping for some entertainment anyway. The scene then shifts from the villain's dark lair to a really quiet city at night. Landing on a basic apartment building where our guy is probably finally heading home. Makoto brings her back to his place, announcing they have reached apartment 303 and flicks on the lights, the packed stone in his hand still glowing faintly. Revealing his home is basically one room with a bed and some boxes, the absolute peak of bachelor life. So what do you and I make of this? Our guy casually tells an ex-angel to make herself at home, which is definitely easier said than done. Let us dive in. Renoa is just wandering around, totally lost on what to think. She finally sits at his desk looking like absolute royalty visiting a peasant hut. She actually asks if humans live here. That question absolutely stops Makoto right in his tracks. Because apparently his apartment gives off the exact same cozy vibes as a literal demon cave. Makoto is sweating a bit, admitting it is basically just a place to sleep. But still trying to save the awkward mood, he asks if there is anything she actually likes. Clarifying he means literally anything at all, desperately trying to find some common ground. As an S rank, her answer is super simple and kinda poetic. She loves beautiful scenery. And our boy just stares at his tape-covered window, admitting that makes total sense. This gives him a genius idea. He suggests they put some flowers in the room, explaining he just thought they would look really nice. It is a simple gesture that catches her totally off guard, and she actually agrees, praising his great taste. Beaming, Makoto proposes a brand new team tradition, buying flowers after every single cleared dungeon. This earns him a super genuine smile from Renoa, huge step for their partnership. With the day's chaos finally catching up to him, Makoto yawns, ready to crash. But Renoa points right at his tiny single bed, asking if that is where he sleeps. Awkward. Makoto just casually nods, saying he will change for the night, while Renoa already claimed his bed, noting it is a bit tight for two. You and I both know his brain just completely short-circuits when she asks to share. Apparently that is totally normal up in heaven. He starts full-on panicking, suddenly realizing he has zero idea if spirits can even sleep outside their stones, and she admits she probably actually cannot. So he super politely suggests she head back inside for now. With a quick goodnight, she vanishes right back into the glowing purple stone in his hand, leaving Makoto just staring at his fist for a second, processing this insane new reality. Later that night, he stays wide awake in bed, trying to figure out his next big move. Realizing if anyone finds out he literally contracted a demon, he will be forced to work solo. So with fresh resolve, he decides to start small, clearing an F-rank dungeon all by himself. The very next day, he heads straight to the Japanese Hunter Association headquarters to get started. Inside, he checks with Renoa, who confirms from the stone that this is a smart play, though he worries a giant purple hand gem is not exactly subtle. Pushing those worries aside, he walks up to the front desk to get registered for an expedition, and the receptionist confirms his request for a simple F-rank mission, but right as he finishes up. Watch closely because a massive commotion erupts right here, as a massive crowd swarms some major league hunter who apparently almost never shows his face. A pair of super confident boots step forward, while the crowd absolutely simps over his good looks. And boom, it is S-rank hunter Sagi Yugo, who thinks a drink is the best morning alarm. He proceeds to casually chug sake right in broad daylight because S-ranks just do whatever. This crowd is absolutely losing their minds over him, begging for autographs like he is a rock star, but Yugo just takes another sip, completely unbothered by it. Like always, he scans the crowd looking totally bored, thinking about how nothing ever changes. But then his eyes lock onto something. His entire vibe instantly flips because he spotted Makoto just minding his own business in the background. Our boy realizes he just made direct eye contact with an S rank and goes on high alert. And a super creepy smirk spreads across Yugo's face, clearly insanely intrigued by what he is seeing. In a flash, the S rank is standing right in front of him, demanding to know his name and rank, leaving Makoto completely stunned. Pointing at himself like, "Are you seriously talking to me right now?" Yugo says it has been a while since he talked to a guy, which is totally weird. So our boy just answers him honestly, introducing himself as a low-level F-rank hunter. The S-rank simply nods, acting like he gets it, but his expression is unreadable. Then he leans right over Makoto, repeating F-rank with a super weird and intense aura. A very nervous Makoto asks if he needs something. Hoping he says no, but what happens next? "Trust me, you and I are not ready." He just pats the receptionist and apologizes, completely shifting gears. Then he casually flirts with her right in front of everyone. "Stick with me here." He invites her for tea with a cheeky wink, points at Makoto, drops his name and strolls off, leaving our boy completely baffled and speechless. Honestly wondering if an S-rank bloke just tried to flirt with him. Meanwhile, the receptionist is having an absolute total system meltdown. She is short-circuiting from the attention, completely lost in a Lord Maggie fantasy before finally snapping back to reality to actually help out Makoto. Makoto is standing there wondering what that weird S-rank encounter was even about, but the receptionist, still swooning, recovers just enough to hand over the dungeon coordinates. Tablet in hand, he walks out, mentally hyping himself up for his very first proper solo run. This location turns out to be a surprisingly peaceful, sunlit forest, where a massive purple swirling dungeon gate is just casually waiting for him to enter. He double-checks the map on his smart device, and yep, everything looks totally fine. So with a highly confident look, our boy is ready to show off his skills. He steps right through the portal into the unknown, only to end up in a super gloomy cave that feels way too oppressive for an F-rank. Renoa pops up immediately, asking if F-rank demons are genuinely supposed to be the weakest, which is really not reassuring. As the cave glows an ominous red, Makoto asks if she is sensing anything properly dangerous. "You are going to want to watch this." A massive blue wolf paw swipes right at him, forcing Makoto to instantly summon his dark power to block the surprise attack. He barely manages to intercept the lightning-fast strike from this absolutely mental beast. Sparks are flying everywhere, and the heavy impact actually makes him slide right backwards, showing exactly how much bloody force was behind that hit. It is a total blur of claws and shadows as the monster attacks. Renoa checks on him, and he confirms he is somehow doing all right today. Still recovering from that crazy speed, he cannot believe how incredibly fast the thing moves, a literal blur of pure blue energy. And that is exactly when he sees it is not just one monster, it is an entire wolf pack. Renoa immediately identifies them as D-rank demons, confirming that this F-rank dungeon is an absolute bloody trap for him. Makoto realizes that this is definitely not an F-rank dungeon at all, but a D-rank death trap. Now he is surrounded. "I know what you're thinking, run right." Well, he looks back and the escape door is sealed. Classic trope. Our boy admits to Renoa that with his current level, the situation looks incredibly grim, telling her that fighting them all at once is basically a total suicide mission. Renoa just listens with a serious expression at the impossible odds. So Makoto forces himself to calm down, deciding the only way out is thinning the enemy numbers. His strategy is dead simple: focus absolutely everything he has on defeating one single wolf. But before he can even move, a claw drops right over him, and he barely dodges a vicious swipe from the incredibly fast beast. This pure blinding speed of the attack leaves him stunned for a second, forcing him to desperately block another wolf's lunge with his shadow blade. He drops to one knee, struggling to hold his ground against the beast's raw brute force, realizing that the pack's coordination is absolutely flawless, which is honestly just incredibly annoying right now. Gritting his teeth, he desperately tries to think of a way to overcome this attack, but another wolf lunges forward with its jaws wide open for the finishing blow. So Makoto just shoves his sword straight into its mouth, which is one way to stop biting. While he is busy, another wolf uses the opening to attack his side. He takes a massive hit, and pain is obvious on his face. The sheer force knocks him backward after that perfectly coordinated attack. Still kneeling, Makoto admits that each of these wolves is dangerously strong, and their pack tactics are flawless, leaving him wondering if he is out of options. Rinoa, however, is just chilling on a shadow throne, saying she wants to see what he does next. Thanks for the help. Our boy stands up, facing the three beasts surrounding him, and one of the wolves shoots him a totally murderous glare, signaling the next attack is coming right away. A silent, determined look crosses Makoto's face as he commits to a wildly desperate plan. Knowing it is a massive risk, but it is the only way out alive, he touches the ground and his shadow powers swirl around his hand for just a moment. Then he completely dissipates them, leaving himself seemingly exposed and powerless. Rinoa is shocked he erased his skill. That is where we leave it, absolutely wild right. Stick with me here, you and I are about to witness the ultimate fake-out. The wolves completely take the bait, but at the last possible second, Makoto ignites his power, summoning a shadow weapon. One wolf instantly bites down on it, swallowing a massive mouthful of pure magic. Taking advantage of that opening, he spins around and slices two monsters in one clean arc. He is left panting, pulling off the skill right in the nick of time. Even Rinoa looks impressed, realizing he faked being weak just to create an opening. Then he asks what is happening here. Noticing this place is way too brutal for floor 1, Makoto agrees, but he is absolutely positive this is a D-rank dungeon. He admits that with his current stats, a D-rank is a massive problem. But since the door is sealed tight, his only option is hunting down the boss. Just when he thinks he is safe, a sound from the cave echoes, stopping him dead in his tracks. And of course it is a whole new wolf pack, because this dungeon personally hates him. Rinoa, however, tells him not to sweat it, claiming something is totally different now. Super vague, right? She quickly tells him to raise his hand and visualize shadow chains. Our boy looks skeptical but tries it anyway. He raises his hand and boom, a massive wave of purple chains violently erupts right out of his palm. They instantly lock onto their target, tightly wrapping around a wolf's snout and legs. Now watch closely, he just unlocked shadow chains, an insane skill to lock down enemies. Very handy. A confident smirk hits his face, our boy got a shiny new toy. The chains violently yank the beast backwards, completely canceling its mid-air attack. Then he uses the trapped wolf as a meat shield against another. Absolute genius. He looks super proud of pulling off that smooth combo, but another wolf leaps in, trying to catch him off guard. But this time he is totally ready, blasting out another shadow chain without hesitating. That second wolf gets slammed into the dirt, pinned down by magic chains. He is mind blown, telling Rinoa how insanely easy and broken this new power is. She admits he is a natural, but warns him it burns through a ton of mana. So he better be careful spamming his overpowered new trick. He struts confidently deeper into the dark cave. After clearing out the rest, he feels completely invincible, bragging that he is not even tired. Meanwhile, Rinoa explains that hunters literally get stronger with every single demon they crush. Makoto admires his shadow blade, finally realizing he is actually leveling up in real time. Feeling all that fresh power, he marches deeper into the cavern, totally pumped for whatever comes next. Meanwhile, Rinoa notes that his crazy fast growth is only possible because his base physical stats were already solid. She is seriously impressed by his mental toughness, realizing he has the big brain to back up his brawn. A cheeky smile crosses her face as she admits she is hyped to see his next move. Before he knows it, he is staring down a massive, creepy, decorated door. The final boss room. You feel that tension, right? Our boy freezes, finally feeling the heavy weight of a D-rank boss. Noticing his hesitation, Rinoa's voice shatters the silence, calling out his name. She materializes right beside him, looking genuinely worried about his sudden freeze-up. But Makoto casually says clearing dungeons is a hunter's job, like that explains absolutely everything. He adds that only a hunter can open the boss door. So it is all on his shoulders. He admits this D-rank boss terrifies him, but honestly, he is also hyped for the challenge. With a deadly serious glare, he declares this is his one shot to prove he is a real hunter. Renoa totally interrupts his cool moment, reminding him this is literally just the tutorial phase. Talk about a buzzkill. Taking her point, he clenches his fist, agreeing this is just step one. Then he swears an epic oath to become a world-saving hunter who actually makes it back alive. With his main character's speech finally out of the way, he grabs the boss room handle. The massive doors creak open, revealing nothing but heavy, swirling darkness. Unfazed, Makoto steps into the super creepy, foggy chamber, totally ready to throw hands. But one single sweat drop completely ruins his tough guy act. Our boy is absolutely terrified. The boss is a massive D-rank hell scorpion, because his day just keeps getting better. He immediately spots that its shell looks ridiculously tanky. He is trying to analyze its armor while his legs are literally shaking. Renoa chimes in, helpfully pointing out that he is terrified. Thanks for the emotional support. Trying to keep his cool, Makoto clenches his fist and insists he is doing just fine, blaming it on pre-battle jitters with the fakest smile in history. But this scorpion doesn't care about his comfort, immediately striking out with its stinger. The stinger slams into the ground with enough raw power to completely shatter the cavern floor, leaving a massive crater where he just stood. And trust me, you and I both know taking a direct hit from that speed means instant game over. Before he can even breathe, that stinger comes back for seconds. He throws up a shadow shield just to survive the next strike. Sliding backwards, he desperately deflects the blow with magic in his blade, but the sword just skids uselessly against the monster hide, throwing massive sparks. Let's dive into this boss fight, guys. That armor is totally impossible. So the scorpion readies a massive horizontal sweep with its giant claw. Makoto decides his only real option here is dodging like crazy while hunting for a weak spot. He figures even the toughest armor on Earth must have some weaker joints. Meanwhile, up above, Renoa watches from her throne, looking vaguely interested in whether he actually survives. Looks like he finally found his target, the vulnerable joints on the monster legs. Makoto goes absolutely all out, aiming his shadow blade straight at that leg joint. He brings the sword down with every ounce of his strength, hoping to shatter the shell. But nope, it does nothing, not even a tiny scratch on this beast. The scorpion answers with a brutal tail whip, swatting him away like an annoying fly. Makoto stumbles, desperately asking Renoa if she has any brilliant ideas. She casually reminds him he is way too weak to deal damage. Fantastic pep talk, really. Now watch closely as our boy smiles. He knows it is time to push past his limits, which is lucky since the scorpion is prepping another deadly strike. Makoto busts out his shiny new move, launching shadow chains with a massive yell. His magic chains shoot out instantly, wrapping tightly around the lethal stinger. He pulls with everything he has, trying to yank the massive attack away from his face. The stinger smashes down mere inches away, making him realize he almost became a human pancake. Right in the chaos, his eyes lock onto another one of the monster leg joints. He spots a tiny, almost invisible crack in the thick armor. An opening, a sudden genius idea hits. Slicing is totally useless, but maybe raw blunt force is not. The scorpion charges in with a claw sweep, giving absolutely zero breathing room, forcing Makoto into a frantic dodge while trying to reach that weak spot. He barely holds on, realizing this boss is getting more aggressive by the second. His mind races fast. He knows he has to change his weapon shape to win. Renoa chimes in, reminding him of the very first time he ever created a shadow weapon. A spark of realization hits Makoto as he remembers her words about crafting that first blade. Flashing a super confident grin, he knows exactly what to do. We both know he finally cracked it. Just as the scorpion lunges with its claw, forcing him to leap high into the air. From her throne, Renoa points out he is now an easy target with zero dodge room. Right on cue, the monster shoots its stinger out to completely skewer him mid-flight. Makoto just smirks, saying he saw that coming, and chucks his chains. They hook right onto the scorpion claw, giving him a perfect anchor point. Grabbing the magical link, he uses it to slingshot himself straight back down. Rocketing downwards with absolutely insane speed, he aims right for the boss. While airborne, his shadow blade starts morphing into a completely new shape. It becomes a giant, brutal shadow hammer, absolutely perfect for smashing things into dust. This new weapon crashes down with one final yell, completely shattering the scorpion leg joint. His face is pure focused intensity as the devastating hit connects. Watching the monster stagger, he admits he was way too obsessed with just using swords. Standing over the beast, he realizes his shadow weapon can be more than a blade, silently thanking Renoa for her totally obvious hint. Our boy complains she could have just told him outright, but she insists he had to figure it out himself. Staring at the defeated boss, he agrees it was a super valuable, albeit terrifying, experience. He jokes about wanting more near-death power boosts, and Renoa is absolutely not amused. The very next day, Makoto heads to the Hunter Association to cash in his victory. A staff member apologizes so much you would think she sent the scorpion herself. Our guy brushes it off, saying the fight was awesome for his growth, which is a huge relief for her, as she confirms his reward is ready to transfer. Makoto almost bugged his eyes out seeing that payout, 1.5 million. The staffer explains a solo clear is a massive deal, begging him to work with them again. This woman is his biggest fan, enthusiastically calling him Mr. Hunter, leaving Makoto a bit stunned by the sudden hardcore adoration, though he quickly recovers with a confident smirk, totally owning his shiny new status. Feeling absolutely loaded, he turns to Renoa and suggests finally buying those flowers. Thinking he can afford a decent bouquet, he suddenly freezes. And trust me, you're going to want to see who just showed up. Stick with me here, a green-haired girl suddenly appears, smiling and calling his name. He recognizes her instantly, stuttering out the name Cassin. She gives him this super cheerful wave, asking how he's been after all this time. He excitedly drops the news that he finally contracted a spirit, leaving her totally amazed. Cassin congratulates him for his hard work, making our boy blush. Meanwhile, the crowd is whispering, recognizing her as a B-rank prodigy. But hey, Renoa is absolutely not happy. She pops up, getting super jealous and demanding to know who this new girl is. Makoto quickly explains she's Ryuka Cassin, his crazy talented childhood friend. Makoto keeps explaining things to Renoa, who just looks adorably confused by the whole situation. Now Cassin absolutely hates demons, like with a burning passion that puts other hunters to shame. A flashback shows they were basically inseparable as kids. Always playing in the park together, their bond stayed super strong, sticking together all through school. But then the tragedy hits. We see her and her brother running for their lives from a demon. Her brother is absolutely terrified, knowing this monster totally outclasses him. A brutal wound to his leg seals his fate right there. Even with the injury, he stands up to the beast, screaming at Cassin to run. His only thought, making sure she survives, even if it costs him his life. The demon cuts him down while Cassin watches in pure horror. Watch closely here. Turns out they both got their sacred stones exactly 2 years ago, but Makoto had to apologize because his spirit never showed up. He felt like he totally broke their promise to become hunters and fight side by side. Cassin understood, but carrying her brother's memory, she couldn't wait around. They went their separate ways, leaving him behind while she pushed forward alone. Back to the present, Cassin is absolutely devouring a dessert. Hey, priorities are priorities. She's genuinely impressed he cleared a D-rank dungeon while still being an F-rank, leaning in closer. She praises him, but then gets super serious about what she really wants to know. Cassin straight up asks what kind of divine spirit he actually contracted. Our boy is totally caught off guard, scrambling to answer without exposing his demon queen. He frantically looks for a solid excuse, since his partner could pop out literally any time. So Makoto goes with the she is a bit shy excuse, which Cassin finds pretty interesting. Meanwhile, Renoa is absolutely furious, telepathically screaming that she isn't shy. Yeah, it's complicated. Not wanting to be outdone, Cassin decides to show off her own divine spirit. Enter Wave, her high-tier wind spirit who literally looks like a fancy butler. This guy is so intensely polite it's almost awkward, leaving Makoto completely weirded out. With introductions done, Cassin asks when he's getting his rank reevaluated, suggesting he should use this time to get way stronger. Then, she randomly invites him to tackle a C-rank dungeon. You and I know that is a massive jump. This crazy offer puts Makoto on the spot, sweating over the big decision. He's thinking the power gap is just way too huge, and he'd only hold her back. But Cassie flashes this dark, creepy smile saying she won't take no for an answer. She remembers how he led her as kids, and she isn't letting this chance slip. Just like that, her scary face vanishes, replaced by pure joy celebrating their big team-up. Meanwhile, the scene shifts over to a slick modern building at night, the vibe super serious. We head straight into the first conference room. You just know things are getting real now. Inside, top executives are gathered to discuss the Mayan. Think highly intelligent, ultra-powerful humanoid demons, B rank or higher, after staying completely off the radar for years. They've suddenly wiped out at least a dozen hunters. This makes the association president. Kamuro remember exactly how insanely strong they are, but this president just laughs it off, bragging that in his prime, he would have soloed these demons easily. But a section chief named Miss Hema quickly cuts in, insisting their gate management system works flawlessly, and that is exactly when someone points out the real problem. These Mayan only spawn after a dungeon gets cleared. Right on cue, this blonde guy named Amji strolls in super late, holding a bottle, asking if he missed anything fun. Miss Hema is absolutely furious about him slacking. But he just flirts back, telling her not to ruin her pretty face, so charming. A giant screen then flashes the faces of every hunter already killed by these new threats. So Amji takes a sip from his bottle, casually mentioning he might actually have a clue about this mess. He randomly volunteers to handle it, claiming he's got some free time, which literally shocks everyone. With the president's blessing, Amji throws up a cocky salute and walks right out the door. The scene cuts back to Makoto. So what do you and I take from this? Makoto is gearing up for his epic mission, while Amji walks off to test his wild predictions. We jump straight into a dark and graffiti-covered hallway. Let's dive right into this C-rank dungeon Makoto and Cassie are exploring. That purple energy blast, it's their dramatic entrance into the danger zone. Makoto asks Cassie if she is nervous. She admits she actually is, just a tiny bit. Our boy is totally panicking internally over the massive power gap and the whole Renoa situation. But Kane just smiles, promising to protect him no matter what, leaving him completely confused. He quickly gets his act together, telling her he isn't dead weight and will definitely do his part. They both stand ready. Dark, ominous energy starts swirling around them as their very first opponents finally appear. A seriously nasty-looking pair of C-rank gargoyle demons. Makoto's shadow magic instantly ignites as he braces himself for the crazy fight ahead. Makoto decides to play it smart and analyze the situation first. But Cassin is already a blur of green energy, launching forward to instantly decapitate a gargoyle with one single, brutal strike. Our guy just stands there, totally stunned by her insane speed, while she coldly declares that absolutely every demon must be destroyed. He is completely blown away by her power. It is way beyond anything he actually expected. But then she suddenly freezes up, sensing something else hanging in the air. Her head whips around, calling out a demonic presence from his direction with a deeply suspicious glare. She asks if that energy could be coming from him, sending Makoto into immediate panic mode. So much for keeping this alliance totally secret. Watch closely now, she just keeps staring, her question hanging in the air like an absolute death sentence. Leaving our boy absolutely terrified that his massive secret has already been exposed. He subtly tries to suppress his shadow magic, hoping she lets it slide. Surprisingly, she actually turns around, muttering that she must have been mistaken. Makoto quickly plays along, telling her to stay completely alert to cover his own tracks. He realizes her demon energy radar is next level, and she almost certainly sensed the raw magic from his shadow ability. He knows he should probably explain the whole Renoa situation, especially given her intense hatred. But after just watching her turn into an absolute killing machine, he decides the timing is terrible. Right on cue, a gigantic new demon emerges from the darkness, handing them a much bigger problem. Kane instantly powers up with her sick wind spirit mantle. Her eyes glowing with pure intent, the giant gargoyle barely has time to register its own shock before getting absolutely rushed. Then she is a total blur, leaping through the air to slice and dice another daemon. Her attack pierces the monster's chest with absolutely zero hesitation, leaving behind nothing but a bloody green vortex. As she continues her aerial assault, her face is ice cold, totally focused on her mission of complete demon annihilation. Makoto watches from below. I know you're thinking it too, his friend can literally fly now. So he figures he should at least try handling the ground troops while she is busy up above. A diving gargoyle gives him the perfect chance to prove he is not just there for moral support and unleashing his own shadow magic. He confidently tells Kane to leave this one entirely to him. He knows these new demons are way stronger, but he reminds himself that he has seriously leveled up too. He summons a shadow weapon, molding dark energy into a brand new shape, a shadow gun. He fires point blank, completely obliterating the monster into bloody pieces. Even Cassine is super impressed, wondering how the heck his sword just turned into an actual firearm. But she quickly brings up feeling demonic energy from him earlier, though she brushes it off for right now. Makoto is sweating pure bullets. He is relieved he dodged that bullet, but terrified of her sharp senses. Right then, Renoa telepathically asks if he seriously plans on lying forever. He defends her internally, insisting she isn't just a demon, she is his reliable partner. This guy desperately wants to explain everything, but he knows Kane's deep-rooted hatred is a massive, unbreakable wall. Makoto keeps agonizing over what to do. Knowing his secret could literally blow up any time, reaching the boss door, Cassine asks if he can focus on the fight. He stammers out a yes, but his internal monologue is a full-blown panic attack. She just assumes he is nervous about the C-rank boss, which is, only half of his actual problem. But with a supportive smile, Kane reminds him he is not alone. You and I definitely want to see this boss fight. Stick with me here, our boy decides to postpone that chat until after they win. They share a quick fist bump, finally ready to fight side by side, just like planned. Boom, the massive doors crash open, revealing their final challenge, a huge high-tier Cyclops demon with an absolutely terrifying presence. Cassine instantly activates her wind spirit cloak, her eyes glowing with absolute pure hatred. Zooming forward in a blur, she closes the gap while the Cyclops raises its massive club. But Makoto is already one step ahead, wrapping his arm in crackling dark energy and unleashing a shadow bind that shoots out to completely block the monster's heavy attack. And this perfectly timed assist gives Cassine the exact opening she needs to stab the absolute beast right in the back. The Cyclops roars in fury, its single eye glaring with rage at their flawless tag team combat. So Cassine follows up with a devastating wind-powered slash that cuts straight through him. They both shout each other's names, signaling a coordinated pincer attack with Makoto firmly planting his feet for a ground assault while she launches into the air. They converge on the monster from opposite directions in an absolute blur of speed. Makoto lands a perfectly timed shadow-infused punch, exactly as she strikes hard with her lance. Combo landed, now pay attention, because here is where their teamwork gets truly mental. Makoto and Cassine swap places in a blink, completely disorienting the massive Cyclops boss. She shoots him a smug grin, knowing they are perfectly synced up without even speaking. The monster roars with pure rage as she flawlessly flips right over its heavy defenses. And Makoto grabs the chance to wrap the massive beast in even more cracking shadow chains. With the Cyclops completely locked down, he yells for Cassine to deliver the final blow. She gives a quick thanks, her hands already glowing with overwhelming wind power. Then she and her spirit wave launch a massive wind rain attack straight from above. It rains down a devastating blast of light that absolutely deletes the boss. Our boy is left totally speechless, completely blown away by her raw power. With the Cyclops down for good, Cassine rushes towards him, giving him a huge smile and a thumbs up for their flawless teamwork. And mate, he blushes instantly. Totally unused to this level of praise from her, they share a celebratory high five, finally back in action together. Makoto thinks to himself how their synergy is just as epic as he imagined, but he knows it is not over yet. There is still a much bigger problem to handle. Even Wave pops up to complement their perfect coordination, to Cassie's absolute delight. You and I both know that feeling, right? She declares they are basically unstoppable together. This puts Makoto in a tight spot. You can see him gulp in panic because he finally decides it is time to come clean about the whole Rinoa situation. Makoto slowly starts taking off his glove, finally ready to spill everything about Rinoa. The tension between them is absolutely electric as the massive reveal hangs heavy in the air. But of course, a massive shockwave interrupts them right as he is about to speak. A huge pillar of sinister red energy erupts from the ground right in front of them, and a single foot steps out, announcing a brand new problem. They are both stunned, wondering what on earth is emerging from the darkness, as a pale, clawed hand reaches out from inside that demonic aura. A horned male demon with crazy abs steps out, looking way too happy right now. With a creepy smile, he announces he finally found who he was looking for. This new guy radiates pure menace, his glowing eyes locked straight on them. Makoto is terrified, recognizing that this demon's aura is leagues above anything he has ever faced. Plus, he is completely thrown off by the fact it is a humanoid demon. Cassine instantly steps in front of him, calling the terrifying creature out as Imagine. This demon, introducing himself as Grom, looks absolutely delighted that she knows his species. What a freak, Makoto suddenly realizes those crazy rumors about Magin's spawning after clearing dungeons were actually terrifyingly true. So Cassine, always the hero, tells him to run away while she buys some time. Totally convinced they cannot win this fight. Our boy refuses to leave her behind, but her mind is made up. Seeing no other option, she powers up her wind spirit cloak, preparing to sacrifice herself for his escape. Then she dashes at Grom in a green blur, and guys, trust me, this hurts to watch. He just laughs in her face, mocking her for moving in slow motion. Cassine's face is pure shock, realizing her absolute best attack is being tracked perfectly, and from the sidelines, Makoto can only watch with his jaw dropped at the absolute insane speed of their clash. Our boy is heavily sweating. He admits he cannot even spot an opening to jump in, while Grom literally blocks her spear barehanded right against his stomach. Stick with me here, he flashes a smug smile, saying he has her trapped, shutting down her entire kamikaze charge with zero effort. His face shows pure condescending boredom. Treating her like a tiny bug, one flick of his wrist sends her flying backwards like a total ragdoll. Mid-air, she desperately yells for Wave to unleash their secret technique. So her hands start glowing hot. Prepping one last desperate trump card, she channels every single drop of power and screams her ultimate move name. A massive pillar. Wild wind energy erupts from her, dwarfing the whole room, before she fires it like a giant blade of pure destructive energy. This shockwave hits so hard that even Makoto has to shield himself using his shadow magic. Crashing into the dirt, Cassine is completely wiped out, dumping everything into that strike. She steadies herself, bracing to see if her final gamble actually paid off at all. But Grom just stands there, calling her ultimate attack a gentle breeze. What an absolute psycho. Her face drops, realizing with pure horror that her best shot did absolutely nothing. He casually mentions her heavy grudge, and she spits out she will kill every demon, which only makes him smile wider. Cryptically asking if she even knows what she is saying, Cassine demands answers, completely lost by his super weird comment. Watch closely now. Grom points straight at Makoto, dropping the massive bomb that our boy has a demon pact. Makoto grits his teeth, absolutely furious that this random guy knows his deepest secret. In utter denial, Cassine insists that cannot be true, but the demon just smugly confirms it is real. She passionately defends him, claiming he would never keep something like that hidden. Oh, sweetie. Our boy clenches his fist, sweating bullets, while his best friend accidentally makes everything way worse. Turning around, Cassine demands to know why he is staying silent, her suspicions rising. She practically begs him to deny it, but he knows the lie is finally dead. With a heavy heart, he shows her the pact stone and admits it is all true. And then he summons Rinoa, who materializes from the shadows right beside him. Cassine just wears a mask of pure shock and absolute devastating betrayal. Her eyes widen in horror, reflecting the exact image of what she truly despises most. Makoto tries defending his case, desperately hoping to make her understand the situation, but her hand is already shaking with rage. Her wind magic is erupting completely uncontrollably. She just screams at him, asking why he would do something so unthinkable. Trust completely shattered, she declares all demons are enemies and he cannot be trusted. This guy begs her to just calm down so they can talk like rational people. Ignoring him completely, she growls she will start by eliminating the demon ahead. Then she lunges forward with her spear aiming to skewer Rinoa instantly, but Grom casually intercepts by grabbing Cassie and calling her annoying. Talk about a buzzkill, Cassie chokes, totally overpowered by Grom and his casual grip. I know you felt that too, right? Right before he finishes her, Makoto finally acts. A wild blur of shadow chains shoots straight across the cavern to jump in, wrapping around the arm of Grom and forcing him to release Cassie. This demon just drops her, pointing at Rinoa, calling her the fallen angel he really wants. Looking absolutely disgusted, Rinoa steps back, which prompts Makoto to ask if they have history. Grom explains that when she first fell down, they actually tried recruiting her into their ranks. This new lore clicks for Makoto, confirming the Mayans are seriously intelligent demons. This psycho continues his monologue, saying she was just a number to those divine spirits. Then he gets truly disgusting, asking if she wants revenge on those who abandoned her. Having absolutely none of it, Rinoa furiously tells him to shut his mouth. Unfazed, he pushes his offer, promising the chance to kill any divine spirits she wants. His toxic sales pitch gets even worse, adding she can slaughter humans and demons too, typical demon stuff. Completely tormented by his words, she just screams at him to stop. Her cool composure is totally shattered as she begins stuttering. Unable to form a sentence, this poor girl is bordering on tears, struggling to even speak. So what do you and I make of this? Makoto standing there, declaring Rinoa is nothing like them. All right, stick with me. Grom sarcastically asks what makes her so different. Our boy drops his philosophy. A real demon just hurts people for absolutely no reason. And since Rinoa is super sweet and his partner, she is not a demon at all. Rinoa stares at him, her face full of worry, softly saying Makoto's name. Meanwhile, Grom calls our boy a pathetic weakling, totally disgusted by all this sappy friendship stuff. Flashing a completely unhinged smile, he powers up, demanding they actually entertain him before he crushes them. So Makoto and Rinoa go back to back, wrapped in shadows, totally ready for the fight of their lives. This demon just casually cracks his knuckles, towering over them like they are nothing but tiny little bugs. Rinoa quickly whispers their only game plan, exploit his cockiness to create an opening and bail out. This guy keeps grinning, clearly loving the absolute terror he is causing. Then a massive blast of pure demonic energy launches straight at them. Makoto barely gets his shadow sword up in time, completely stunned by the insane mind-bending speed. Now watch this part. In a flash, Grom is right behind him, dropping some classic trash talk. A brutal kick sends Makoto flying directly into one of his very own shadowy portals, which immediately spits him right back out, crashing him hard against the cavern floor. He is left coughing in the dirt, completely at the monster's mercy. But our boy is not done yet, desperately summoning his shadow bind right from the ground. These chains shoot out, wrapping tightly around Grom's arm and leg in a desperate flex. Makoto shapes the shadows into a gun, pouring absolutely everything into one single shot. Grom just stands there, letting the chains tie him up out of pure boredom. This shadow bullet flies, and this absolute psycho just casually catches it between two fingers. Then he crushes the projectile in his hand without even blinking. Smirking like a boss, he casually notes that returning it would be funnier. Grom completely mocks him from across the cavern, sarcastically asking if he has already run out of his little bag of tricks. Our boy is absolutely furious, realizing he is literally just a plaything for this monster. From the ground, Kane can only watch, totally powerless to jump in. His eyes widen in pure terror at what is about to happen, so in one last desperate attempt, Makoto just screams and charges forward like a total madman, only to catch a brutal backhand straight to the face for his trouble. Cassie can only scream out his name, watching her friend get absolutely crushed. Renoa quickly pops up, catching him right before he hits the dirt. She holds him tight with a look of pure worry and total despair. We all felt this, right? Cain is having a total existential crisis about the pact. With his whole world shattered to pieces, he mutters that nothing makes sense anymore. This psycho laughs and delivers a brutal kick right to his stomach, calling him totally weak. The kid doubles over, the insane impact shaking his entire body. Standing over him, Grom brags that fighting back is completely pointless. What a classic villain move, but Makoto uses his sword to stand, refusing to stay down. He quietly admits to himself that he is weak and just cannot match this guy. But as his packed stone glows brightly, he clenches his fist with totally renewed purpose. With a massive surge of shadow energy, he roars that he flat out refuses to quit. Seeing this crazy sudden defiance, Cain's defeated expression finally starts to change. A loud voice in his head reminds him that giving up means losing everything. In a quick flashback, he remembers the absolute heartbreak of losing his parents back then. And he remembers telling a younger, broken Cain that they had to find a way to survive. With tears streaming down his face, he swore they would never stop pushing forward. Back in the present, that exact memory brings fresh tears to Cain's eyes while watching him fight. He finally realizes Makoto's insane strength gave him the absolute will to live. But that super touching memory gets totally ruined when Grom brutally punches the boy, sending him flying backward while the demon completely mocks his useless little fighting spirit. Makoto's hand slams into the dirt. His packed stone gives off a faint, defiant glow as he struggles to his knees, using his sword so he does not fall. Watching all this, Cain remembers that he has always been the most determined person ever. Realizing that even with some crazy demon pact, he is still the exact same Makoto, so he finds his voice and screams across the cave to keep fighting. His loud voice cuts right through the chaos, and our boy looks back completely stunned. With his faith totally restored, he tearfully begs him to go all out, believing he can win. You and I know what happens next. Grom hates this friendship display. He screams at him to focus, and their swords violently clash in a wild storm of shadow energy. Stick with me, something finally clicks for Makoto right here. A sudden realization hits hard. His biggest failure was not being weak. It was actually hurting Cassin with his massive secret. But get this, even after breaking her trust, she's still cheering him on, giving him strength because she chose to believe in him again. Fueled by Cassin's absolute faith, Makoto roars that he refuses to die today. He swings his blade with totally new purpose, weapons clashing in a shower of sparks. Screaming that he absolutely will not fall here, Grom is genuinely stunned, realizing Makoto's speed just got a crazy massive upgrade. A wild blur of shadow energy rips straight through the air as Makoto keeps screaming. His eyes burn with pure, absolute determination. All his fear is completely gone, declaring they are all surviving and leaving this cave together. The attack lands, leaving a fresh blood streak on the floor and his target. Makoto stands his ground, finally landing a totally clean hit on this insane demon. With Renoa and Cassin right behind him, he stays rock solid after drawing first blood. Now watch this closely, a fresh cut across Grom's cheek and the psycho just looks intrigued. Cassin can only stare in awe at his insane power. This absolute madman literally licks the blood off his face, laughing that things are finally getting fun. Deciding playtime is over, Grom loudly announces it is time to kill the fun completely. He starts charging a massive sphere of destruction, calling it a parting gift for the afterlife. Makoto and Renoa are stunned, feeling the ridiculously violent magic pressure radiating everywhere. But then Grom turns straight to Renoa, offering the fallen angel one final, twisted chance. He even offers a sneaky deal, promising to let her friends walk away if she simply agrees. The demon twists the knife, asking if she seriously wants to watch her partner die. In response, Makoto just smirks with confidence, totally unfazed by the threat. And Renoa mirrors his exact expression with a subtle little smile. They are completely locked in. Renoa rejects him flat out, boldly declaring that neither she nor Makoto will ever bow to a demon. Grom's answer is brutally simple, then just die. Charging his ultimate attack, he unleashes a massive beam of pure destruction, a deadly move called Underworld Destiny. With zero options left, Rinoa wraps her wings tightly around Makoto, bracing for the absolute worst. But out of nowhere, a blinding golden blast intercepts the attack, saving them at the literal last second. Everyone, even Grom, is completely speechless at this super flashy, sudden intervention. This mysterious golden power completely devours Grom's destructive beam, swallowing the nasty demonic energy without breaking a sweat. You saw that epic save too, right? A hand drops onto Makoto's shoulder, and he turns to his mysterious savior. This new guy coolly declares he is here to protect bright futures, and Makoto asks who the heck he is. He introduces himself as Amagi, casually asking the demon if he wants to play too. Boom, we now have a classic epic showdown between this newcomer and the monster. Makoto immediately recognizes the name, and Amagi simply tells him to chill out and let the real professional handle things. The kid is totally mind blown by the power radiating. Realizing right away he is an S-rank hunter, Amagi sizes up Grom, casually noting he looks pretty tough for a basic monster. Then he drops the ultimate challenge, smoothly adding that he, of course, is way stronger. Grom is absolutely furious. His eye is literally twitching with pure rage at this guy's audacity. Amagi says it is time to pay for hurting his rookie hunter. His golden aura explodes. He summons his own partner, a divine spirit, calmly asking if she is ready to go. Totally impressed, Grom violently lunges forward, hoping this S-rank hero is not just all talk. Grom's attack gets completely blocked and he absolutely cannot believe it, so he charges Amagi with a demonic sword, screaming that this is not over yet. Only for the hunter to casually catch his strike barehanded like it is nothing. Amagi politely asks him not to touch the face, it is a key business asset, you know. With one casual flick of his wrist, he sends the demon flying straight across the massive cavern. Grom recovers midair, ripping open a portal while cursing him out, and dives inside, trying to set up a sneaky surprise attack. But Amagi effortlessly tosses a golden sword right into the portal after him. It instantly spits Grom out right above his head, totally dizzy and disoriented. Looking straight up with a cheeky smirk, Amagi simply says, "Welcome back." Before Grom can even react, Amagi grabs him and violently slams him into the floor. The impact is so massive it shakes the entire cave, an absolutely brutal flex of power. Standing over him, Amagi jokes about him being confused when things do not go his way. The two are completely separated now. So what do we make of this? The power gap is painfully obvious. Makoto is stunned, but Rinoa explains divine spirits are the key. She adds that the sheer amount of power Amagi uses is on another level. This makes Grom even more furious, charging up a massive ball of demonic energy. He unleashes his ultimate move, a tidal wave of pure, absolute darkness. Right, mate, stick with me. Amagi preps his ultimate sky-piercing attack, totally unfazed. Boom, their ultimate moves violently clash in blinding light. Grom gets completely caught in the blast, demonic claws scratching to escape, but Amagi just casually snaps his fingers. A golden arc of pure power seals the deal. That divine energy shatters Grom's attack like cheap glass. A massive spear of light impales the demon, leaving him screaming in pure bloody agony. Makoto and Rinoa are absolutely speechless. The hunter barely moved a muscle. Amagi starts mocking him, pointing right at the fatal wound and asking, "Is that it?" The pro keeps pushing his buttons, asking why Grom won't use his real skills. Completely fuming, Grom charges in screaming bloody murder, except he is not alone. A brand new bloke with horns and white hair suddenly drops in. Amagi notices immediately as our heroes realize things just got super complicated. Grom is absolutely raging at his backup, demanding to know why Finn showed up. His mate calls him a massive idiot, saying he'll die using that power while injured. Finn's intense glare proves he's clearly the brains behind this whole demonic operation. Turning to Amagi, Finn admits the hunter is strong, warning an all-out brawl leaves zero winners. Smirking right back, Amagi admits Finn looks pretty tough too, just professional courtesy. Now watch closely here. Finn calls a draw, but Grom screams it ain't over. Looking totally exasperated, his partner sighs, asking why Grom never bloody listens. Grom finally caves, gritting his teeth as he accepts the tactical retreat. Both demons completely teleport away, leaving Amagi as the undisputed king of the cave. Course Grom can't leave without a cheeky threat, swearing he'll return for their heads. Demons gone, Amagi checks out the absolute mess. The dust settles as he turns to our heroes, who are still recovering. Makoto and Cassin are stunned, trying to process the madness. Amagi casually asks if the baddies bilayed, while Makoto finally finds his voice. The lad gives a proper formal bow, thanking the hunter for saving them. The pro just shrugs it off, suggesting a little chat on the walk. So the squad starts the massive trek back to the surface, finally safe. Then Amagi drops an absolute bombshell, asking if Makoto suspected the pact since day one. He knew a demon was tailing the kid, easily connecting the dots. Flipping the script, he asks if Makoto and Cassin have properly made up. Cassin gets well nervous, admitting she realized he is still the exact same guy, but she definitely won't let him off the hook easily. While Amagi sips his drink, she clarifies that trusting him is a totally different story. Makoto takes it completely coolly. Did you and I just feel that vibe shift? He correctly ids Renoa's demon traits, giving her a super cryptic, low-key threatening welcome to humanity. Makoto glares right up with absolute fire in his eyes, ready for anything. The girls watch these two heavyweights have an intense stare-down. A tiny smirk crosses Amagi's face. He definitely has a cheeky agenda. Makoto accepts the challenge, his own power literally bursting. Grinning, Amagi says he hopes to fight right alongside the lad someday soon. Meanwhile, Amagi dials in, reporting the situation is fully handled. His corporate boss praises his spot-on choices, but Amagi asks if he remembers former rank hunter, Jimuro Yuji. The boss totally remembers him as a criminal who brutally murdered other hunters. Turns out this absolute psycho was in custody, but vanished out of thin air days ago. Amagi roasts the boss for being sloppy, claiming he's too busy to help out. Instead, he offers data on two promising hunters to clean the mess. The boss agrees and hangs up. Call finished, the boss turns to his office guest. A super serious bloke with blue hair sits right there, completely ready for his mission report. That is Yusugi, the former disciple of that exact criminal they discussed. He's got a personal stake, swearing to stop his master's massacre himself. Cue a sunset flashback to his training days with Amuro. Back then, young Yusugi just wanted to be the absolute perfect by-the-book hunter. His master, though, calls him totally boring for being rigid, telling the lad to actually enjoy the job once. But Yusugi isn't having it, insisting duty comes first. Amuro tells him to drop the stiff speech, just trying to relax him for a second. His master's philosophy is simple: bashing demons makes you a proper hero. Rules are absolute rubbish. He leaves cryptic advice: follow your ideals, but never be some corporate puppet. In the flashback, Yusugi swears he'll never be like him, which just earns a cheeky mock. So what do we make of this mess? Back in the present, Makoto and Cassin enjoy a peaceful morning jog by the lake. Come along with me here, she asks about the flower shop, and he confirms it is for Renoa. Meanwhile, Renoa watches from her bench, wondering how long they'll keep walking. Cassin keeps pressing, asking what else Renoa actually likes besides bloody flowers. But Makoto dodges the question entirely, telling her to ask Renoa herself. He stares at the shiny gem in his hand, delivering a proper cold response. This properly annoys Cassin, who snaps back that they are teammates now. From her bench, Renoa realizes she was the one doubting him first, and just as she hopes they will actually get along, Cassin loudly tells Makoto to shut his mouth. Her face totally drops when nearby neighbors start gossiping about the daily news. Apparently, a rogue criminal hunter just broke out of prison, making everyone properly tense. Makoto drops the bloke's name, Imuro Yusei, a former A-rank expert. He wonders why someone with that godlike power would commit such dodgy crimes. Right then, Makoto's phone starts buzzing like mad in his pocket. He checks an email from the association, and Cassin gets the exact same one. It is a red alert emergency summons calling them both for an instant mission. Turns out it is a personal recommendation from Amagi, so they leg it immediately. Their destination is the main association headquarters, heading straight toward their next massive headache. At HQ, they are greeted by some suit from the Abnormal Measures Division. He explains that thanks to Amagi, they are officially assigned to hunt down the fugitive, Imuro. While the police search the streets, the association needs its own elite hunters. Their best clue suggests the target is hiding inside the nearest portal. The mission is to investigate a C-rank dungeon, and he asks if they have any questions. Makoto points out they are facing a former A-rank beast. Now pay attention here, that sounds super unbalanced, but the suit says relax. They requested backup, and right on cue, this high-level support makes an absolutely dramatic entrance. Kasen is completely stunned. She recognizes the newcomer instantly and yells his name, Yusugi. It is Yusugi Ohai greeting Kasen like a proper old mate. With the squad fully assembled, the suit leaves them alone with the grim mission files. 3 tablets are waiting, one for each, packed with bloody details. Kasen points out it has been ages since they cleared a dungeon together. Meanwhile, Makoto gets hyped, realizing he is about to work alongside a literal genius. Our boy tries playing it friendly, introducing himself formally and offering a firm handshake. But Yusugi introduces himself by dropping a massive bomb. He is the former disciple of their target. He completely kills the friendly vibe, cutting straight to business. This bloke tells them flat out he has zero intention of teaming up. Kasen is mind blown, asking why he will not cooperate, but he just turns his back. He glares over his shoulder, saying they would just be useless baggage anyway. Yusugi bluntly states that this is his personal responsibility. So he is hunting his old master solo, but Kasen jumps right in, desperately trying to stop him from just ditching the joint mission. Makoto steps in too, arguing it is obviously better if all 3 work together. Without even turning around, Yusugi repeats they are just a massive burden. So our cheeky guy tries a different tactic, offering to handle all the portal demons. He points out that this is way more efficient than the edgy lone wolf act. And that logic actually lands because he pauses for a second. Makoto presses his advantage using the hunter card, with Kasen totally backing him up. With a heavy sigh, Yusugi finally caves, telling them to do whatever they want. What a proper team player. Then he adds he will do his own thing anyway, completely ruining the entire point. Kasen whispers to Makoto that they should just follow him and figure things out later. The scene shifts to a creepy, ruined building at night, which is never a good sign. A busted no trespassing sign lies discarded right on the dirty floor. Basically an open invitation for bad decisions. Inside, 3 local idiots are exploring with flashlights, planning to claim this dump as their turf. These blokes are completely amazed by how massive the place is. You and I know this setup, clueless guys starting a proper horror movie. One guy shines his light into a dark classroom, wondering what is inside. The beam hits a massive, spiky crystal formation that definitely was not in the brochure. They quickly realize it is a dungeon gate, but for some weird reason, it is completely frozen over. Their grand plan to claim the building dies instantly as they panic and decide to call the association. But turning to run, he spots someone else lurking in the room and looks absolutely terrified. This unlucky intruder gets instantly frozen solid by a massive, sudden blast of ice. His flashlight hits the floor as the life leaves his body, and standing right over the frozen remains, it is the fugitive himself, Imuro Yusei. A close-up shows the poor bloke's completely terrified face cracking deep inside the solid crystal. With one casual hand gesture, Imuro shatters the frozen bodies into an absolute million bloody pieces. He complains about hiding better next time. Priorities, eh? That's where we leave it. Trust me, you'll want more. Nailing at the gate, he mumbles excuses, totally convinced he is doing the right thing. This is Imuro Yusei, and his absolute #1 priority is getting revenge on the Hunter Association. Meanwhile, come along with me here because our crew is heading straight into this creepy C-rank forest. Uesugi immediately reminds them he is flying solo, even though they are clearly walking right beside him. But Makoto stops him dead, saying he has something super important to confess first. He decides to come clean about Rinoa since they are supposed to be a team. But get this, Uesugi drops the bomb that Aji already spilled everything about the demon contract. Makoto is totally shocked, asking if Uesugi is going to judge him. But the genius hunter just shrugs, saying a demon pact is not evil unless you actually do evil stuff. Our boy is completely blown away by this surprisingly chill and reasonable take. Kassen even jumps in to back him up, telling Wesugi that Makoto is a genuinely good guy. Wesugi just keeps walking, totally unfazed by this touching team bonding moment, leaving Makoto genuinely hyped that someone finally gets his situation without freaking out. Their little chat gets cut short when they reach the entrance of an ancient temple inside the gate. Deep inside, they come face to face with the C-rank dungeon boss, a massive, terrifying white spider. This thing looks insanely tough, and it will not go down without a massive fight. It launches a brutal attack instantly, forcing Makoto and Kassen totally on the defensive. But watch closely before they even react. Wesugi steps right up, his hand glowing with freezing power, and in one single, fluid motion, he traps that giant spider inside a jagged tomb of solid ice. Makoto and Kassen are absolutely speechless, witnessing the crazy power of an rank hunter. After shattering the monster, Wesugi casually asks how much longer they plan to waste time on weaklings. This guy just stands there with his advanced spirit, Yuki, looking completely unimpressed. Then he casually lets them know their search for a Muro in this zone is officially over. With absolutely zero clues to find, he sees no reason to chill in an empty boss room. Makoto is still recovering from that one-hit kill when he sees Wesugi walking off alone. Again, Kassen mumbles under her breath about how totally self-centered he is. Then she notices Makoto looking pretty pleased with himself. Turns out our boy woke up a brand new ability during that one-sided beatdown. He explains this fresh skill, residual shadow sense, which can pick up traces of a target's shadow. That crazy reveal actually makes Wesugi stop in his tracks and turn around with a quick flash of surprise. Makoto adds that he can track down literally anyone who has been around the area in the last 24 hours. He runs to Wesugi, claiming this awesome new power might be exactly what they need to finally track down a Muro. So he asks the genius hunter if there is any spot nearby that means something to his old master. Wesugi gives him a straight answer, mentioning a specific hill near the gate where they used to talk. With a solid lead in hand, he turns to leave, and this time the duo follows close behind. Makoto and Kassen try to figure out Wesugi's total silent treatment, which Renoa quickly calls out as just plain unfriendly. They finally arrive at the exact spot Wesugi mentioned, a sick overlook with views of the entire city. Standing right by the stone wall, Wesugi stares out, completely lost in deep thoughts about this specific place. You saw that too, right? He never actually wanted to return after his master's betrayal. Our boy connects the dots, realizing this place is heavily loaded with intense memories for both of them. Wesugi, having zero patience left, tells Makoto to hurry up and activate his flashy new skill. Makoto listens, firing up his residual shadow sense with a really cool, glowing purple aura. Dark, inky footprints magically appear right on the ground, revealing a hidden path left behind by someone. His power spreads into this massive purple grid, scanning the whole area for clues. With glowing eyes, he locks it in. Someone was definitely standing right there very recently. His awesome ability spots the faint, lingering shadow of a single person. Even though he can't identify them quite yet, reaching his hand out, he starts analyzing the shadow's unique traits to lock on. The shadow fully merges into the shape of a Muro, Yusei, standing in the exact same spot as Wesugi. In an absolutely breathtaking shot, Imuro's silhouette reflects straight into Wesugi's own eye. Wesugi confirms he sees it, realizing his old master really did come back to their usual hangout spot. This makes him wonder what the heck Imuro was actually thinking by returning here. A flashback hits, showing a young Wesugi asking his cool mentor why they always hang out up here. Imuro just laughs, saying it is his personal spot to chill and clear his head. He explains that staring at the sprawling city makes him feel totally free and shakes off his doubts. With a super friendly pat on the back, he tells his young student to never live a boring life. His master's deep words about living a boring, chained-up life keep echoing. Wesugi clenches his fist, admitting he learned so much from the very man he is now hunting down. Makoto tries to check on him, but Wesugi just completely deflects, saying it is time to get moving. Trust me, you'll love this, our boy confidently announces he finally tracked Imuro down. Alright, you and I are about to watch this trio finally click. Following a solid clue, they move out, while our genius hunter tries guessing his master's final endgame here. Meanwhile, back at the association headquarters, things are about to go absolutely crazy. Deep inside the gate management department, an operator is staring down a massive monitor wall. This glasses-wearing researcher gets a terrible gut feeling. Suddenly, her eyes go wide as one massive, horrifying piece of info clicks. Oh no, she totally loses it, screaming at her partner to link up the internal comms fast. Flipping on her headset, she gets ready to blast the emergency alarm across the entire city. An official broadcast hits the network. She screams about a critical gate break risk, ordering every available hunter to mobilize. Right as absolute chaos erupts everywhere, our heroes are already sprinting through the dark woods. The three are moving at top speed, finally totally in sync. But a vibrating phone ruins the vibe. Everyone hits the brakes when Kane spots the official association distress signal. A brand new mission, some completely unknown gate just popped up, demanding immediate investigation. Makoto is totally baffled, perfectly aware that gates usually take a whole week to destabilize. Now pay attention here, Cassine warns a break could hit any time. Suddenly, Hyusugi gets chills as the puzzle pieces snap together. Flashing back, Imuro explains his personal little habit for crushing any creeping doubts. A super sinister detail. Makoto's eyes widen as he connects the emergency alert to his master's plan. Hyusugi grabs him, yelling that the gate break was Imuro's goal all along. Time to move. Shocked but totally locked in, our boy steps up to lead. His shadow sense sparks, locking onto the actual target. An abandoned school, pointing with glowing eyes, he shouts that Imuro's dark shadow is heading straight inside. Looking grim, Hyusugi confirms their master is definitely waiting there. They arrive just in time to see colossal dark energy exploding from the roof. So much for stealth, they watch in pure horror as demonic pressure literally cracks the ground. This wild purple vortex starts swirling into something completely monstrous and terrifying. Makoto turns pale, instantly recognizing this horrifying phenomenon. For Kane, this absolute nightmare triggers a trauma she will never forget. It brings back the awful memory of watching someone she loved fall to a shadowy figure. This brutal flashback features a monster ambush from a past break that scarred her forever. Back to reality, Makoto's hand glows with Renoa's power, bracing for the worst. Kane crushes her fear, her spiritual energy exploding in bright green light. She plants her feet, loudly declaring they have to stop whatever exits that gate, period. Just in the nick of time, a blinding flash of light erupts as the terrifying break begins. Can you believe this madness? A massive demon tide rushes our trio. Makoto yells to stop the invasion before it hits the city. Kane completely agrees, slicing right through a beast, shouting to hold the line until backup arrives. Hyusugi, meanwhile, he is surrounded by giant demon wolves, but looks way more annoyed than actually threatened. His hand glows with insane freezing power as he tells these ugly mutts to get lost. A massive, jagged ice wall erupts, instantly freezing the entire front line into solid blocks of ice. Makoto jumps back, totally stunned by Hyusugi's casual crowd control. He yells his partner's name while stepping over the brand new ice sculpture. This leaves our poor boy taking heavy hits. Struggling hard to block while the rank plays solo, Renoa mentally complains about Hyusugi going rogue. Hey, at least Kane is doing her job, locked in a wild aerial duel nearby. The real issue, this horde just will not stop, an endless wave of fangs and claws. Makoto is running on fumes, knowing he is basically at his limit. Then boom, a massive fireball blasts the field. The cavalry is here. It smashes the monster ranks with pure explosive force, handing our heroes a huge opening. An elite hunter squad pulls up, telling a shocked Makoto they are joining in. Our boy is absolutely amazed by the massive response. Completely hyped up, he decides to pull his weight and dive ease back in with fresh purpose. But two newbies notice his zero mana pool, immediately trash-talking him as a fake hunter. He knows they will get suspicious if he keeps fighting, but with monsters charging he has to. While they mock Makoto, Cassine unleashes a massive green tornado, shredding monsters into dust. This attack carves a path as she screams his name. Trust me, you will want to see this, she yells to leave the mob and catch a rank Hyusugi. All right, mate, stick with me. Makoto gives a quick nod of thanks, then sprints, dodging a massive snake monster lurking in the shadows. Staff at the ready, he figures the gate core has gotta be straight ahead. Meanwhile, Yusugi is already there, casually smashing an ice beast like it is nothing. Makoto finally arrives, only to find Yusugi in a frozen room, no Imuro in sight. The kid is totally gobsmacked. Yusugi soloed the boss, but Yusugi coldly drops the bad news. Their main target, Imuro, already slipped away. He flat out calls stopping this break a total waste of time. In his mind, Imuro is just gonna do it again somewhere else. But Makoto suddenly speaks up. He insists this was not useless at all. That totally ticks Yusugi off. He grabs his collar, demanding what he could possibly understand. Eyes glowing bright purple, Makoto reminds him about his insanely good tracking skill. Yusugi looks genuinely shocked as Makoto says it is way too early to quit. Since Yusugi cleared the boss, Imuro's shadow trail is wide open. Grabbing his arm, our boy yells they must move before the trail goes freezing cold. Not even waiting for a reply, Makoto spins around and sprints ahead, and for the first time, a tiny spark of hope hits Yusugi's face. Yusugi steps up, catching the kid in a genuine moment of trust. He even thanks Makoto by his real name, Asuka, as they finally move like a proper team. Our boy just grins, telling him to save the thanks until after they win. For once, a real, tiny smile actually cracks on Yusugi. Here is where it gets absolutely brilliant. They follow the shadow trail, ready to end this chase. The path leads to a modern building under the moonlight. Makoto points it out. Imuro is heading straight for the association's main system hub. The kid gets it. If that system goes down, the entire city gate management completely collapses. They find the entrance totally smashed, with jagged ice crystals scattered absolutely everywhere. Stepping inside, pure chills. The floor shows a horribly one-sided fight. This hallway is a frozen nightmare, with hunters and staff trapped in solid ice. Makoto looks absolutely horrified, realizing they are way too late to save. Anyone but Yusugi does not hesitate, sprinting past the frozen bodies without a single word. Priorities right, a close-up of a frozen guard shows just how ruthless this attacker really was. This whole corridor is a literal ice tomb. At the very end, Imuro stands right in front of the glowing association system core. He left a nasty little present, a beeping bomb ready to blow the whole organization to bits. Yusugi blasts a barrage of ice shards at his old master. No talking, just straight violence. Imuro glances back, totally unbothered, and summons a massive ice wall of his own. Surprise, he has the exact same powers. You and I both know this is insane. Yusugi furiously confronts his master, while Imuro just brags about his perfect terrorist plot. With a totally mocking grin, he warns his old student to back off. The two ice users are in a deadly standoff, separated by a crystal wall. Makoto finally arrives, shouting Yusugi's name, crashing right into this heavy family drama. But Yusugi is locked in, declaring his master's crimes end right here. His old teacher just smirks, daring him to try it. The bloke loves theatrics. He summons a colossal ice pillar aimed straight at our third wheel. Caught completely off guard, Makoto barely dodges. Imuro calmly explains he is just clearing the room for an uninterrupted little reunion. Pinned against the freezing ice. Makoto is furious at being tossed aside. Imuro turns back to Yusugi, twisting the knife by asking if he actually has the guts to kill him. Yusugi's face hardens completely. He admits he absolutely cannot show mercy this time around. His master scoffs, mocking his student for being way too serious. Then Imuro flexes hard, summoning his own divine spirit, demanding a real fight. Not wanting to be outdone, Yusugi summons his spirit. Ready for an epic clash, Imuro reveals the detonator's terms, beat me and destroy the device. Spotting that timer, Yusugi knows that waiting for any backup is a total death sentence. With his spirit right by his side, he preps a massive ice bombardment. It is all or nothing now. Eyes narrowing with cold resolve, he knows this ends here. Yusugi dodges a forest of ice spikes erupting from the ground. Trust me, you're gonna want to see this hostile reunion. Imuro smugly admits his student improved, his spirit floating there like a backup singer. But then he unleashes his own absolutely insane ice barrage. Alright mates, stick with me here. Imuro is basically saying, cute trick kid. This massive counterattack leaves Yusugi completely gobsmacked, totally unprepared. His own ice shards get absolutely obliterated by his master's superior blast. It is not even a bloody competition. A massive wave of frost smashes into him, sending him crashing into the dirt, a totally brutal takedown. Yusugi quickly realizes that in a straight-up head-to-head clash of raw power, he is entirely outclassed. So he switches gears, crafting twin ice swords for a cheeky close-quarters revenge, but Imuro just smirks, literally asking who he thinks taught him that exact move. He totally roasts Yusugi right off the bat, pointing out he knows every single trick his student has. Gritting his teeth, Yusugi charges forward like an absolute madman, swinging his brand new frosty blades. He hurls one of his swords like a lethal missile, and Imuro looks genuinely shocked, wondering why his own student would just chuck away a perfectly good weapon. Thinking he has it sorted, the master dodges, assuming Yusugi just completely bent his own dual-wielding advantage. His teacher now reckons he only needs to keep an eye on Yusugi's left side. Meanwhile, the kid rushes in sporting a look of absolute cheeky confidence, and Imuro gets ready to block the incoming one-handed strike. Yusugi closes the gap fast, swinging his remaining blade in a massive arc just to bait his master's attention. Now watch closely, mate. Imuro's smug face completely drops when he spots Yusugi has already crafted another sword in his empty hand. It was a brilliant trap, the fake-out works flawlessly, letting Yusugi land a super clean, totally savage slash right across his old master's chest. Imuro stumbles backward, honestly looking way more annoyed than actually hurt. All while Yusugi proves he has picked up some wicked new tricks solo. The feint pays off beautifully, landing a ruthless hit with absolutely blinding speed. His former teacher is actually dead impressed. Admitting that strike was way faster than his ice could even regenerate. Honestly, Imuro is literally smiling, praising his pupil for finally showing a proper killer instinct. Yusugi coldly claps back, telling him he is definitely not the same kid he used to know. The glow-up is real. For a split second, he actually believes his bonkers plan is working and he might win this fight. But Imuro warns him not to get too cheeky, because he is about to unleash a brand spanking new ability. Suddenly, a massive black hammer completely smashes through the frost wall that was pinning Makoto down. Our lad is fully back in the game, proper moaning about how ridiculously tough that ice was to shatter. Yusugi glances back, utterly gobsmacked to see his mate has somehow busted out of the freezing trap. As the frost shatters everywhere, Imuro just casually gets ready for his next massive party trick. I know what you're thinking, how is this fair? He crafts a perfect ice clone, instantly turning this into a totally brutal 2-on-1 street fight. Yusugi completely scoffs at the move, fully convinced a basic frosty dummy cannot be a real threat. Without hesitating for a single second, he charges straight at the newly spawned double. Their blades violently clash, and he instantly realizes this frozen fake is just as fast and mental as the original guy. The raw power of the clone's block sends him completely reeling backward, catching him totally off guard. Imuro casually explains that his creation moves exactly like him, even if it cannot spam any special magic skills. Now Yusugi is absolutely fuming, realizing how much insane energy his master dumped into this cheap trick, and Imuro just straight up mocks him for being a loner, fully rubbing that unfair disadvantage in his face. Meanwhile, though, Makoto completely ignores the clone brawl, remembering he has to hurry up for a totally different reason. His eyes are locked dead on that ticking time bomb. The actual main objective behind this entire bloody mess. Yusugi instantly squares up with the double, their frosty blades smashing together in an absolutely furious rally. But the fake's raw power is overwhelmingly brutal. Stopping his strike dead cold in a savage stalemate, Imuro's smug voice actually taunts him for being so sloppy, right as the clone lands a massively cruel slash across his back. The insane force of the hit sends Yusugi flying across the dirt, entirely outmatched and wrecked. Before he can even stand up, the real Imuro drops an absolutely massive barrage of ice shards from above. This absolute storm of deadly frost just rains down, giving Yusugi literally zero room to even breathe. His old teacher just grins, fully enjoying the show and joking about how lively it is, an absolute total psycho. Beaten down and shattered, Yusugi finally realizes the massive power gap between them is just impossibly huge. All he can do is grit his teeth in pure utter despair, begging to know why this is even happening. He demands to know why a prodigy would choose to commit such wicked crimes, but Imuro simply brushes it off, telling his former student he is dead wrong. "You and I just witnessed true madness." He claims he is finally being honest, that he was always this dark. In his warped head. "All right, let's jump into this wild mess." Imuro thinks the association's rules are too strict, so he completely ignored them, got fired, and sees absolutely nothing wrong with his twisted methods. Yusugi screams at him that his methods literally include straight-up murder. Imuro's excuse, absolutely chilling. He straight up compares hunters to stray dogs you wouldn't mind putting down. This completely messed up logic leaves Yusugi clutching his bleeding wound in pure horror. Meanwhile, our boy Makoto is still standing next to the bomb, looking like he's about to have a full-blown panic attack. And Imuro just keeps going with his massive villain speech about the association collapsing. With total madness in his eyes, he declares this is his grand revenge to finally free all hunters. Yusugi is absolutely not buying this crazy monologue, shouting that it is all complete garbage. But Imuro just smiles, noting how much his former student has changed while gripping his ice blade. This freezing clone hovers over Yusugi, as the master promises no one will stop him. With a sudden burst of fiery determination, Yusugi declares that as his disciple, stopping him is his duty. Imuro simply mocks him, telling him to keep barking while pointing straight down at the ground. Because he has already trapped his student's feet inside a jagged cage of ice, Yusugi is totally stunned, having no clue when his master set the trap. He is completely locked down, sweating bullets as he realizes he's a sitting duck. Watch closely right here. The clone raises its sword for the final blow, coldly saying goodbye to the student. Reflected right in Yusugi's eye, we see the killing strike coming. And then, boom, out of nowhere, a massive shadow hammer just straight up deletes the ice clone, leaving Imuro looking pretty shocked. His grand finale is officially cancelled out. Makoto's heavy hammer crashes down hard, completely shattering that clone and saving Yusugi at the very last second. Our guy stands over the frozen leftovers, telling the villain to cut the nonsense. He calls Imuro by his full name, looking absolutely hyped and ready to throw hands. The clone turns into nothing more than ice dust, which is honestly a super satisfying visual. Makoto stands next to a totally shocked Yusugi, calling him by his real name. He gives a super confident thumbs up, assuring his partner he knows exactly how to break this ice. Yusugi finally figures out that Makoto spent all that time hammering a wall just to save him. For the second time today, a genuinely grateful smile appears, while Imuro totally mocks Makoto's brave little act, basically asking if he is seriously talking about breaking his ice. Then he summons a brand new clone, calling our boy trash with that same incredibly punchable smirk. Makoto and Yusugi stand back to back. They are officially ready for an epic 2-on-2 tag team battle. For a split second, Imuro actually looks worried, admitting this new guy might be a problem. Makoto decides to ignore the clone and rush the main boss, but Yusugi quickly intercepts him, physically blocking his path straight toward the villain. He declares with ice-cold fury that taking down his old master is his job alone. Imuro just grits his teeth, clearly hating this little display of stubborn teamwork. So he orders his alter ego to kill Makoto, splitting them up so he can regain control. This clone and Makoto instantly clash in a wild tornado of attacks. Our guy totally notices the clone is undeniably strong. But he seems to have a plan. He taps into that frantic dark energy with a sinister smile spreading across his face. Whispering, of course, he confirms he knows how to handle this thing. Meanwhile, over there, Imuro is busy fighting Yusugi, fully thinking that Makoto is the one getting overwhelmed. He pins down his old student, laughing about how his buddy is about to die. I know you're probably thinking the same thing. He is way too confident about his perfect creation. This clone raises its massive blade for a finishing strike against a kneeling Makoto, only for its entire arm to get completely trashed by a brutal, one-of-a-kind counterattack. Imuro's jaw practically hits the floor. His absolute disbelief is absolutely priceless. Even Yusugi is stunned, realizing his teammate just handled that impossible threat like it was absolutely nothing at all. Makoto stands over the ruined clone, his dark energy scythe screaming, "I am the main character now." He coldly declares that the little ice dummy was nothing compared to the literal real-life demon he made a contract with. Everything finally clicks for Yusugi, who suddenly understands exactly where his partner's totally insane power is coming from. And Imuro connects the dots too, accusing Makoto of making a demonic pact. Yeah, took him long enough. Makoto's answer is a legendary, "So what?" before dropping some totally savage advice of his own. This villain tries getting into his head, questioning if he can really live as a hunter with that dark secret. For a second the taunt actually works, as our guy looks a bit nervous. Imuro sees an opening and launches his massive recruitment pitch about changing this incredibly unfair world. That's where we leave it. A heavy silence hangs while Makoto just lets the guy talk. "Let's dive right in." He points his scythe back, declaring Imuro is the only evil dying today. That rejection stings bad, because Imuro is now giving off pure, terrifying killer intent. Asking if these brats are rushing to die, his patience is officially gone. One furious stomp unleashes his raw power across the floor, kicking off the real fight. Hyusuji immediately clashes with him, his ice blades creating a wild energy storm. But as they fight, Hyusuji realizes Makoto never even used his full power on the clone. This kid was holding back all along, a fact that actually surprises Imuro. Their attacks collide in a massive, blinding explosion of light and razor-sharp ice. It is now a completely chaotic three-way battle, with everyone finally going all out. Makoto intercepts a direct hit from Imuro, blocking the massive ice blade with his scythe, but the sheer force sends him sliding backward, a grim reminder of true strength. Gritting his teeth, Makoto realizes the real Imuro's fighting style is on a completely different level than the clones. Then, a sudden flash of realization hits him as a desperate new strategy forms. He immediately unleashes Shadow Trace, demonic power flaring to life. Through this new skill, he can suddenly see ghostly afterimages of Imuro's every single move. These purple traces perfectly map out the villain's attack patterns, giving him a massive advantage. Watch closely, our boy knows this vision is key, but he must feed this intel to Hyusuji fast. His demon contractor helpfully suggests a quick mana transfer to share the site. Problem solved, a surge of dark energy suddenly wraps around Hyusuji's eyes, catching him completely off guard. In a flash, his vision gets upgraded with the exact same shadow power as his partner. Now he can see the afterimages too, finally able to predict his master's next move. Armed with this insane foresight, Hyusuji easily ducks a slash that would have ended him. Imuro is confused. His perfectly aimed strike hits nothing but air. This opening lets Hyusuji close the gap, parrying with precision. Together, the two are fighting in perfect sync, flawlessly countering every single attack. This villain is absolutely stunned, wondering how his student is suddenly reading him like a book. But even with the buff, Imuro's raw power is still insane, forcing Hyusuji back on the defensive. His old master starts gathering a terrifying amount of energy in his hand. Playtime is over. With a furious glare, he warns the brats not to get cocky. Hyusuji instantly recognizes the stance, realizing Imuro is about to drop a massive attack. With a classic villain smirk, Imuro announces his ultimate finishing move. Hyusuji yells back that they won't just stand there and let that happen. With just one stomp, Imuro unleashes a terrifying wave of freezing power and summons a literal ice dragon. Because why not go completely overkill, right? This colossal ice beast is now literally towering over them. A vision of pure destruction, a massive beam of concentrated cold energy blasts from its jaws. This attack is a roaring torrent of absolute zero, designed to wipe out absolutely everything. The scale is just insane. A true endgame move meant to wipe the board clean, except it completely misses our heroes. It completely freezes the bomb instead. This entire area is a frozen wasteland now, and Imuro just stands there smiling, declaring the fight over. But then a foot steps forward, totally surrounded by that dead giveaway purple aura. Turns out their shared vision confirmed Imuro wouldn't move from that spot, a totally fatal mistake. In a flash, Hyusuji and Makoto flank him, blades ready to strike. The villain is completely stunned. With zero clue how they teleported above him, they deliver a brutal cross-slash, ripping right through his defenses. Their combo strike doesn't just wound him. It also shatters a device on his coat. Imuro simply chokes, the reality of his defeat hitting hard. But instead of letting him collapse, Hyusuji catches his old master. Blood pools on the frozen ground in the heavy silence. A flashback shows Imuro once told him he admired his freedom, something he himself never truly had. Hyusuji tells his fallen master that he simply chose the wrong path. With a heavy heart, he declares this is finally the end for Imuro. So what do you and I learn here? Makoto realizes even legendary hunters like Imuro aren't immune to failure. Alright, jump in with me. Despite that lady, Makoto clenches his fist with fresh resolve. He is locking in his own path alongside Rinoa, swearing to do what he genuinely believes is right. This crazy battle is finally over, leaving the whole building completely silent under the glowing moonlight. News about the massive gate break incident is already blowing up online everywhere. Makoto knows the association is gonna show up any second now to drag Imuro straight into custody. He just sits down by his defeated master, straight up admitting he could not win this. He flat out tells Makoto that without his backup, they totally would have lost the fight. In a super rare moment of being soft, he formally thanks Makoto, saying he owes him. Our boy just flashes a smile, shaking his hand and joking about getting thanked twice today. Shortly after, the official cleanup crew finally rolls onto the scene. 2 proper suits haul the defeated Imuro away, looking like absolute professionals. Their squad leader actually salutes our heroes. He officially thanks them for their wild service. Makoto figures the job is done and suggests heading home, but then someone grabs him from behind, and nope, not a friendly pat. A woman loudly drops his full government name. Catching him totally off guard, she casually drops that he is suspected of messing with demons. So much for chilling. A new guy in a suit adjusts his glasses, telling Makoto he is coming with them. It is not negotiable. Now pay close attention because this gets totally wild. Next thing, they are at the High-Tech Hunter Association headquarters, and our boy gets instantly slapped with magic power-suppressing cuffs. Absolute madness. 2 agents march him down this massive hallway like he is literally public enemy number 1. He asks where they are going and gets the super comforting answer that his fate is being decided. Makoto totally knew this was coming, realizing that dropping demonic powers in public would not stay quiet. An agent points at a door, telling him to mind his manners. Hilarious, honestly. Even with the heavy cuffs and the whole escort. Our boy walks in with his head held high. Inside, a whole council of serious-looking top tiers is just waiting at this massive boardroom table. A surprisingly casual blonde dude throws up a peace sign, introducing himself as President Amagi. The suit who arrested him is there too, right next to some dude who looks like he just left a gothic rock concert. With Makoto standing right there, the official conference about his insanely abnormal situation finally kicks off. A crazy holographic table lights up, replaying scenes from his brawl with Imuro for everyone to witness. They get straight to business. This entire meeting is about his alleged demon contract. The division head, Naima Renji, says they will be evaluating him, which sounds super fun, right? His reflection bounces off Renji's glasses, while the boss loudly calls him by his full name. Then he drops the million-dollar question, does he actually have a literal demon contract? Our boy knows they aren't asking for laughs, realizing that lying right now would be an awful idea. So he simply admits it is true and summons Rinoa to make the introduction official. And just like that, Rinoa drops in with all her winged glory, confirming everyone's absolute worst fears. The whole council just stares, completely stunned. Their brains are basically short-circuiting at a humanoid demon. That goth-looking hunter immediately flares up with insane red energy, recognizing her as a high-tier demon. Without even thinking twice, he readies an attack, swearing to literally erase her. You and I both know this is crazy, right? Makoto totally panics because this dude is about to open fire inside a boardroom, and he actually shoots without a single second of hesitation. So much for due process. His shot gets instantly blocked by a glowing golden shield popping out of nowhere. It was President Amagi who literally stopped the attack dead cold with one tiny finger flick. An S-rank attack blocked, then he calmly tells the hot-headed Tsubasa to take a breath, since the meeting just started. Tsubasa is not having it, calling the chat useless, and even threatening the completely unfazed president himself. Amagi tells Makoto to keep going with his explanation. Makoto clears up that Rinoa isn't just some random demon, but a literal fallen divine spirit. This crazy new info leaves the other high ranks totally baffled, because that is basically unheard of. But the story sounds super familiar to Amagi, who actually remembers a vision of a divine being. So he summons his own spirit, Nova, asking her to confirm the insane story for everyone. And she absolutely does, explaining she heard divine world rumors about an angel falling. With his point backed up, Amagi thanks his spirit, looking incredibly smug about it. Then he turns back to the council, basically asking if they are finally done being completely wrong. Tsubasa, however, insists it does not even matter. A demon is a demon, and his only job is killing them. Trust me, you will want to see this. Renji takes over, demanding how she fell. Alright, stick with me here. That question hits a massive nerve, leaving Makoto and Rinoa absolutely gutted. She flat out refuses to explain how she fell. Talk about a dead end. Tsubasa immediately slams the table, furious because keeping secrets just isn't an acceptable answer. This bloke keeps ranting that they can't trust her, while someone quickly jumps to her defense, insisting Rinoa isn't a threat. But Renji. The bloke in the suit calmly asks if he can actually guarantee that. Obviously he can't. Makoto is left totally speechless and cornered. His brain is racing 1,000,000 miles an hour, desperately trying to persuade the stone-cold Hunter Council. The poor lad starts sweating buckets, realizing this interrogation is going south incredibly fast. But then a brand new arrival makes a flashy entrance, completely shattering the tension. A pink-haired woman struts right in, casually apologizing for being late to the trial. Apparently her bed was just too comfy. What a total pro. Renji immediately scolds Jaimai, saying punctuality applies to everyone, even C ranks. She just tells him to complain to her bed and asks what today's big drama is. The president cheerfully points out they're deciding what to do with our lad, the new demon contractor. Pay attention here. Instead of answering, she drops a brilliant trick question. Who are the two people waiting outside? That question completely blindsides everyone, especially Renji and Tsubasa. President Amagi just smirks though, thanking her for giving him the absolute perfect opening. He calmly tells the duo outside to come on in, and two more hunters confidently strut inside. A bloke in a blue uniform and a green-haired woman looking incredibly intense. The council realizes this trial is getting packed. Hesuji and the green-haired Cassin are honestly just as surprised as everyone else to be there. Renji immediately questions having outsiders here, but the president insists they are directly involved. Another high ranker with an absolutely majestic beard quietly watches. Then he agrees to let them speak. Since their testimony is clearly relevant, just like that, Makoto has a whole squad backing him up. Ready for absolutely anything, our lad starts panicking, realizing his mates are risking their necks for him. Hesui steps right up, straight up admitting he would have lost to Imuro without Makoto and Rinoa's help. With a clenched fist, he makes it crystal clear he's standing firm on this. Cassin backs him up, testifying that Rinoa helped them fight a massive demon earlier. She then formally begs the council to seriously consider their words. In a massive show of solidarity, all three bow down, begging the council to trust them. Makoto is completely gobsmacked seeing his new mates support him like this. Even Renji has to admit, for someone who absolutely despises demons like Cassin, this is huge. Amagi argues this proves Renoa isn't a threat, even if the future is sketchy. Then he drops a bombshell, claiming these two might actually save the world. Tsubasa calls that idealistic rubbish, but Amagi claps back, saying his job is managing the risk. True to his word, the president boldly declares he'll take full responsibility here. You saw that right, Tsubasa is fuming while Makoto is stunned. Amagi lays out his choice. Scrap the execution entirely and bet everything on their crazy potential. To really hammer his point home, the magic suppressing cuffs on Makoto's wrists burst into brilliant light. Makoto gets fired up, refusing to waste his mate's efforts. That bearded high ranker clenches his fist, deciding it's finally time to settle this matter. He calls for a vote, asking everyone who supports strict disciplinary action to raise their hand. Tsubasa's hand shoots up instantly. The bloke literally only has one mode. Renji calmly raises his hand, joining the Punish the Teenager Club. Amagi and Jaimai, however, just stay totally relaxed, arms crossed, completely unbothered. This cheeky lack of enthusiasm absolutely infuriates Tsubasa, while Jaimai casually blabbers about friendship. He furiously demands a decision, clearly losing his patience. But the bearded guy running the show, he just takes a very long, thoughtful pause. His intense glare proves he's definitely not getting swayed by a simple majority vote. Our heroes watch nervously, their fate hanging by a thread. The old hunter raises a hand, officially delaying the verdict. He wants to hear their intentions straight from the source before making his choice. Turning to Renoa, he asks why a demon would ever form a contract with a human. Renoa's expression turns dead serious as she gears up for the heavy question. She steps forward confidently, ready to face the council's intense scrutiny. And that's where we leave it. She just wanted to help Makoto while he suffered. Simple. With literal fire in her eyes, she boldly declares demons are her enemies too, ready to brawl. All right, let us jump right into this crazy standoff. The old man checks if Makoto has anything to add while the duo stands totally united for this epic final interrogation. Makoto launches into this massive dramatic speech. Remembering a brutal memory, he basically swears he will never let anyone else suffer such a tragically dark fate. Thinking about all the innocent people who got unfairly wiped out by Amuro, his fists literally start glowing. He promises to smash demons so history never ever repeats itself. His big proposal, use us to save the whole world. What a massive job application. Jaimai and Amji listen super closely. The president is absolutely eating this up. After that whole dramatic performance, the bearded guy announces he has finally made his big choice. His verdict, the association will supervise them under strict conditions. Makoto and Renoa are completely shell-shocked. Expecting instant execution, they are stunned. The council processes the news. Am looks smug that his crazy gamble paid off. Even Hyushi and Kane are super relieved their huge career risks worked out. Suba meanwhile completely loses his mind, just absolutely screaming at the old man. His fist is clenched so tight you can practically hear his blood pressure spiking. He screams he cannot accept this without a solid reason. Probation is simply not in his vocabulary. The old hunter glares back like, I am the adult here, kid. He explains that a squad backed by loyal friends vouching for them holds undeniable value. Importantly, he looked into Makoto's eyes and saw zero deception. He warns Tsubasa this is not acting soft, it is a purely calculated move. Tsubasa just grits his teeth, totally outmatched. Watch closely now. He yields and RJI asks about the new rules. The old hunter drops the very first condition, basically a ridiculously high-risk, crazy internship. Their main tasks: drop all demon intel and start racking up those kills. He tells them to earn trust with real action, not fancy speeches. Makoto accepts instantly because the other option is a quick execution. With that, the entire squad bows deeply, just incredibly grateful to keep breathing today. The old man cuts to the chase, demanding the report right now, but first, Hyushi and Kane get politely booted out. This part is strictly top secret. He admits their current demon intel is garbage, heavily pressuring Renoa. His very first question is about these elite demons they know absolutely nothing about. All eyes snap to Renoa, the new walking demon encyclopedia. She casually drops the very first massive bomb. There are around 100 monsters organized exactly like hunters. Makoto almost has a literal heart attack, realizing humanity is completely and utterly screwed. To top it off, dozens of them are as strong as Tsubasa, or maybe even stronger. While Jaimji looks visibly stressed, Tsubasa just flexes his muscles, proudly declaring the S-ranks will easily handle it. Rinoa adds that a literal demon king leads them all, though she knows zero extra details. The old hunter strokes his beard, realizing a king changes the whole game. RJI, ever the brutal interrogator, demands how she knows, forcing her to relive her dark past. She explains she was captured for an enemy interview. You and I both know that means pure nightmare fuel. Her expression turns super dark, remembering how their massive forces totally overwhelmed her. She reveals they even tried brainwashing her, but she somehow escaped with all this wild intel. The old hunter cuts the fluff, asking what the demon's absolute ultimate endgame is. Rinoa explains demons eat and sleep like us, but their core instinct is just invading and dominating everything. It is pure conquest, zero complex philosophy involved. RJI notes if it is pure instinct, there is absolutely zero room for negotiation or strategy. However, the Mayan have real intelligence, changing everything. That implies their big boss king actually has a specific master plan, making him a vastly bigger threat. Tsubasa listens closely. The idea of a strategic enemy finally catches his full attention. Unfortunately, Renault admits she has zero clue about the Demon King's actual master plan. Tsubasa cracks his knuckles, cheerfully promising to absolutely crush the king's little plan. Jaimai thinks it would be funny if they invaded for a completely trivial reason. Amo says fighting a smart king is way more fun. Makoto thanks Rinoa for the huge intel drop, telling her to prep for more questions. The bearded hunter clenches his fist. His glove gem shines with power. He declares despite new info, their core mission remains identical. The entire council absolutely shares that same fiery resolve. The battle continues, then a new rule drops. Makoto will be detained for association surveillance. M warns of hunter rumors, and trust me, you and I need to see what happens next. Stick with me here, our boy just smirks, saying he is totally used to being treated like absolute rubbish. He is already planning to rack up achievements hunting demons to prove his worth, but Ahmed chimes in, reminding him F ranks do not get promoted easily. M is absolutely stunned, admitting he never expected the president to get this heavily involved. Turns out, hearing all that juicy demon intel got the old boss properly hyped. Marching over, he announces a special reevaluation for Makoto and Rinoa. Makoto is completely gobsmacked, having absolutely zero clue what that actually means. Up in the gallery, Jaime and Yaji know exactly what is happening. The president's bad habit is back. Tsubasa is literally drooling at the thought of Makoto getting crushed, while our boy absolutely panics. Before he can even protest, the president drags him straight to the training hall. Now they are standing in the middle of a massive arena, facing off. The old bloke rolls up his sleeves, challenging Makoto to a proper scrap to test his strength. Our lad is sweating buckets right now, fighting the literal boss of the association, absolute nightmare. The president promises to hold back to a casual 10 or 20%. How generous. Then he instantly summons a giant golden spirit knight and holy sword. Funny way of holding back, Makoto and Rinoa brace themselves, realizing the president's power is just off the charts. So it is a 2-on-1 showdown. Meanwhile, the council watches like it is a pay-per-view match. M is highly entertained, smiling as he waits to see Makoto's skills. Then, the president drops the mental conditions for this test. Watch closely because this is wild. If Makoto cannot land a single hit, he gets kicked out of the Hunter Association. Bam, he and his Golden Knight charge at them with zero warning. Makoto desperately tries processing this sudden death match, begging him to stop joking around, but the old boss is already moving, closing the massive gap instantly. The president makes it clear this is no joke, which is not comforting at all. Our boy's face is literally screaming, I am in massive danger. Reality hits him hard. With that, the Golden Knight unleashes a massive swing that could easily topple an entire building. It crashes down with incredible force, completely shattering the training room floor. Makoto barely dodges in time, completely gobsmacked by the sheer weight of that single strike. The old man reminds him of his big speech about results. He basically asks if all that chat about saving the world was just hot air. Backed into a corner, Makoto scrambles up, ready to counter. His hands are totally numb, finally understanding what holding back means for this absolute monster. The president taunts him, telling the lad to stop messing around and fight properly. Sweating buckets, our boy tries figuring out how to approach this beast before finally moving. He taps into his shadow powers for an edge. He unleashes his shadow bind, wrapping the old hunter in restrictive, dark chains. You and I totally thought that worked, right? Even the president looks briefly impressed. Thinking he actually trapped him, Makoto goes charging in to land that one desperately needed hit. His arm is wrapped in dark energy as he brings his sword down with everything he has got, only for the president to catch the blade barehanded. Then he just glares with utter disappointment, calling the attack completely superficial. The old bloke warns that if he holds back, it is over. Then he casually swats him away, sending our boy flying straight across the arena. Makoto hits the ground hard, absolutely shattered by that simple backhand. The president smirks, saying he will never even land a single blow. Sprawled out and beaten down, our boy can only curse while the old man watches. He then snaps those shadow chains like wet tissue paper, asking if that was everything. Staggering up, Makoto is stunned, wondering if he is fighting a man or a monster. Meanwhile in the stands, Amji decides it is time for a proper drink. He starts chugging sake straight from the bottle. Watching his hard graft, the council spectates while RJI gets traumatic flashbacks to his own test. Down below, they face off from opposite sides again. Makoto knows he must land one hit to pass, but has zero clue exactly how. Seeing the kid ready, the president goes fully on the offensive. He unleashes a blindingly fast attack that completely rips up the arena floorboards. In a flash, he is right above Makoto, bringing his light sword down with insane speed. The gem on his gauntlet glows brightly as he puts serious power into the swing. Our lad desperately tries parrying the golden blade with his dark sword, quickly realizing there is no humanly possible way to block this monstrous attack head-on. The impact force sends him flying across the room again. He lands on his feet but looks completely and utterly outclassed. Renji asks if the old man wants him dead, but Amagi explains he is just making his moves easy to read. He praises the dodge. Trust me, you and I know this wild test is just getting started. Makoto is dodging an absolute blur of light attacks, barely staying ahead of this crazy old man's relentless strikes. Let's jump in, you and I can feel the pressure, realizing every single hit is ridiculously heavy and fast. The president actively mocks him, loudly declaring he will never win by running away like a total coward. Fired up with fresh resolve, Makoto decides to drop the defense and hit back. He leaps over another devastating blow, using that sweet momentum to get some distance. Then he spawns a massive spiked shadow projectile, totally ready to try a cheeky ranged attack for a change. Down below, the president just stares up, completely unbothered by this flashy new trick. Makoto chucks the shadow weapon, and it explodes with dark energy right in his face. From the stands, Tsubasa grins, finally finding this totally unfair beatdown entertaining. Landing smoothly on his feet, Makoto desperately hopes that attack actually connected, but the president reveals a massive golden shield used to block it, even tossing him a super condescending compliment. Makoto is absolutely gobsmacked, wondering when he even summoned a shield, while the old guy just taunts him, promising to show him more. Now watch this, the president's hand glows with golden power, and just like that, he summons a holy spear to match his shield. Our boy is completely speechless, watching this absolute madman pull legendary weapons out of nowhere. The old guy explains his armory skill lets him swap weapons whenever he wants, an absolute cheat code. Renoa points out he has a whole arsenal, and none of it is standard gear. Aji explains to Jaimji that the president's spirit is literally the god of weapons, giving him unlimited access to an epic armory. Even Tsubasa has to admit the old man is the undisputed king of close combat. Gripping his new spear, the president cheerfully announces that round 2 has officially begun. Makoto knows a bad weapon matchup is basically a straight-up death sentence. Forcing him to think fast, the president cheekily labels Makoto's skill as materialization, calling it a cheap budget version of his own armory. Finding this super interesting, he dares Makoto to show what he has got and charges forward with the spear. A massively powerful spear thrust rips through the air, forcing our boy to dodge for his actual life. He is instantly outmatched, quickly realizing the reach and sheer power of that spear are on a totally different level. His face says it all. This is way more than he bargained for. He is barely dodging a flurry of strikes, each one a deadly blur of light. Then the president reveals he can split his spear into 2 homing projectiles, because of course he freaking can. You seeing this, Makoto just watches in horror as the old man completely shatters the rules of fair play. Just for a laugh, the president swaps to a giant warhammer and smashes it straight into the ground. The impact absolutely wrecks the arena floor, sending massive shockwaves ripping through the entire hall. Makoto jumps back desperately, trying to create literally any distance from this absolute maniac. He throws weapons and leaps over a massive axe swing from the Golden Spirit Knight, who apparently still exists. With a quick flick of the wrist, the president's glowing hand conjures yet another weapon. Now he has a holy bow, ready to turn this beatdown into a ranged execution. But Makoto grits his teeth, totally refusing to go down without a proper fight. Up in the stands, the council just watches this bonkers light show unfold. Enjoying the best seats in the house, Aji notes the president is actually a brilliant teacher, assuming you survive the lesson. Makoto's shadow sword clashes against a volley of light arrows, a totally desperate defense to block the onslaught. He holds his ground, surrounded by broken arrows and battered, but somehow still completely in the fight. Without missing a beat, the president swaps right back to his holy sword, looking way too comfortable. Makoto tells Rinoa he is finally starting to spot a pattern in the old man's overwhelming fighting style. From the stands, Tsubasa points out the armory skill, ensures the president always has the absolute perfect counter weapon. With a heavy stomp, the old hunter preps another attack. Then he shoots across the floor, demanding to see how Makoto responds this time. Thinking on the fly, our guy decides to play the exact same game, materializing a weapon of his own. The president clocks the strategy instantly, correctly guessing a spear would be the prime choice against a sword. But he mocks him, saying it won't be enough, his hand already glowing to summon yet another counter. At that exact moment, Makoto unleashes his own shadow spear. Taking the chance to charge forward, aiming to exploit the weapon matchup he just forced into existence. The old man's eyes narrow. Trust me, you and I are in for a wild ride. Alright, you and I are jumping right into the madness. With a desperate lunge, Makoto pours every ounce of his strength into one final strike. The president blocks, but the shadow spear whips around his golden sword. Up in the gallery, Jaimji and Tsubasa are absolutely stunned by this wild plot twist. The tip of the spear barely grazes the president, slicing his tie clean off. That counts as a hit. Meiji praises the move, pointing out that Makoto cleverly exploited the split-second delay when the president switched weapons. Makoto is left gasping for air. He dumped everything into that one perfect shot. Wiping his mouth, he looks up, praying it was enough to pass. The president actually looks impressed. Admitting that using a spear at such close range is insane, he confirms Makoto aimed for that tiny opening and landed a solid hit. Our boy actually pulled it off. The president claps his hands, officially announcing the exam is over. Our boy passed. Makoto just stands there, totally dumbfounded that he somehow survived this brutal test. He instantly drops to his knees, thanking the old man for the life-threatening evaluation. Completely drained, he is drenched in sweat as the adrenaline finally wears off. He realizes that entire beatdown was a brutal lesson, and the president was not holding back at all. The old man gives him a surprisingly gentle pat on the head, praising his quick thinking. But he also points out that his mana control is still absolute garbage, so do not get cocky. As a reward for not dying, he officially promotes Makoto straight to B rank. I know what you're thinking, absolute madness. Our boy is shocked, skipping 3 whole ranks today. Fired up with a brand new purpose, Makoto accepts the challenge with a determined shout. Then, Magi pops out of a portal, sake bottle in hand, to congratulate him. He also makes sure to remind Makoto that he is still light years behind him. Got to keep that ego in check. Looking at his hand, Makoto knows he has a really long way to go to catch up to these absolute monsters. He then turns to Magi, a wild new idea forming in his head. With a desperate plea, our boy asks Magi to personally train him to get stronger. He even hits him with the full formal bow, practically begging for one-on-one lessons. Magi just smirks, revealing that this was part of his master plan from the very beginning. Apparently, he was already planning to take the kid under his wing anyway. With a confident grin, he accepts, totally eager to see how overpowered Makoto can become. And so, with a brand new mentor secured, the next chapter kicks off right outside the Hunter Association headquarters. Inside a private room, Magi starts the training session, still firmly holding that bottle of booze. His big idea is the exact same training routine he used with his own spirit, Nova. This lesson starts with the absolute basics. A hunter's true power grows by strengthening their bond with their spirit. Makoto immediately asks if that is even possible for him and Rinoa, given their weird contract. As long as the divine stone connects them, Magi says it is theoretically possible. He points out that Rinoa is sitting on a massive mana reserve, just waiting to be tapped. But the whole problem is she cannot transfer that power to Makoto properly right now. Now pay attention here. Magi promises that once this training is over, our boy is going to be on a completely different level. Fired up, Makoto eagerly accepts the guidance, a choice he is about to seriously regret. Then Magi starts laying out the very first step of this intense power leveling routine. And that step is holding hands while clearing a dungeon. A truly revolutionary technique, right? Makoto and Rinoa just stare at him. Their faces are a perfect mix of pure confusion and "are you serious?" The very next day, they are unceremoniously dropped into a dungeon to begin this unique training. So there they are, awkwardly walking through a cave holding hands, exactly as their mentor ordered. Rinoa immediately trips and falls flat on her face because this is going absolutely great so far. He asks if she is embarrassed, and her expression screams a massive yes. Makoto lays down the rules: do not let go no matter what, and zero talking during fights. Their mission is to clear F to C rank dungeons just like this. Good luck, guys. Suddenly, Rinoa spots trouble up ahead, pointing out their first real test. Right on cue, a monster horde appears, ready to see how effective this hand-holding strategy really is. Makoto wants to start with some careful observation. An actual game plan, but Rinoa instantly attacks a monster. Completely ignoring the whole plan, she goes straight in, and trust me, you're going to want to see how this chaotic duo survives next time. Stick with me on this one. A proper confused Makoto wonders what happened to his brilliant strategy. Right on cue, a giant monster fist flies in, rudely interrupting his debate. The result is an incredibly clunky, hand-holding battle against a massive swarm of these ugly bat creatures. Another one dives straight for Makoto's head, truly putting their absolutely bizarre battle formation to the test. He shoves Rinoa away. She genuinely looks just as baffled as he feels right now. They barely dodge an attack together, their movements completely clashing. While dodging is easy enough, Rinoa points out they are just massively getting in each other's way. So Makoto tries a cheeky new tactic, materializing a shadow weapon to fight from a distance. He smacks one of the monsters right in the face, which actually looks pretty bloody effective. Standing over the defeated mob, he asks if that's everyone. Always the optimist, this lad. Rinoa cuts him off, showing they are now completely surrounded for being way too slow. Her face just screams, "You have got to be joking." Things go from bad to worse. With zero time to regroup, a massive clawed hand sweeps through the air right at them. Both of them quickly agree this is no time for an argument. They just focus entirely on not dying. 2 weeks later, somehow, some crazy way, they have survived and are now inside a rank C boss room. They are getting used to this hand-holding combat, but their fighting styles are still an absolute rubbish disaster. And Makoto fully admits that fighting a boss like this is probably a genuinely terrible idea. Makoto attempts a cheeky little pep talk, but Renoa's response is basically, "Yeah, I am making zero promises." Then she drops some proper wisdom about how the key is not matching moves, but truly understanding each other. For a split second, she sounds incredibly profound, a genuinely rare and beautiful thing to witness. Don't blink because here's where it clicks. Our lad has a sudden "oh, I get it now" moment. With their new bond, they enter the boss room, still awkwardly holding hands. A massive, glowing blue eye immediately swivels round to lock onto them. So much for a stealthy approach. And there is the rank C boss, a legacy golem roughly the size of a small bloody block of flats. Makoto honestly reckons this slow, tanky enemy is the absolute perfect test for their strategy. Totally unique, but Renoa immediately drags him into the air because strategy is just a suggestion to her. Deciding he has to go on the offensive, Makoto materializes a ridiculously massive, epic shadow axe. He brings the weapon down with a mighty swing, smashing it straight into the golem's arm. The strike barely even chips the stone. What a truly fantastic start to this epic boss fight. Our lad instantly realizes he might have severely underestimated this particular massive, angry pile of rocks. As the golem swings back, Renoa physically has to drag him out of the way of a crushing blow. Their faces are a perfect mix of pure panic, as they get tossed around like one clunky unit. The massive shockwave sends them flying across the room, totally out of control. They manage to land just as the golem summons a fresh wave of spikes from the floor. Makoto knows they're completely out of sync. Their timing is an absolute bloody disaster right now. Renoa, however, looks back with a weirdly intense, completely focused gleam in her bright eyes. You and I have seen that look before. He knows she is targeting something, but has zero clue what. Renoa squeezes his hand hard, signaling it is time to stop flailing and get serious. With a look of pure, unadulterated focus, she clearly has some cheeky trick up her sleeve. Makoto just stares right back. He tries to read her intentions through their incredibly awkward, chaotic connection. Deciding to bet everything on absolute trust, figures she must actually have a plan. First time for everything, mate. He plants his feet, fully committing to following her lead, no matter how absolutely mental it seems. Finally realizing they need to be in sync to get stronger, they stand together as one unit, and just in time because the golem throws a direct punch at their faces. Renoa drags him right into a wildly spinning, full assault. Using their momentum to attack from absolutely every angle, their synchronized strike genuinely cracks the golem's thick stone armor right over its glowing core. This massive boss stumbles backward, completely thrown off by their sudden, brilliantly coordinated counterattack. As the golem reels from the heavy blow, its glowing weak point is left completely open. Makoto suddenly spots the opening, realizing he never would have seen it without her utterly chaotic leadership. "Trust me, you are going to love this part." Renoa declares they are finishing this now, but this time Makoto tightens his grip, taking complete control of their rapid movement. She stares back in pure shock as he smoothly pulls her into a new stance, completely reversing their roles. Our lad flashes a highly confident smirk. "All right, jump in with me." He's finally ready to show her how real strategy works, throwing her own words right back with a smirk. Boom, the golem blasts a massive energy beam right from its chest, forcing them to dodge instantly. Dodging the attack, Makoto breaks down his philosophy: always read the room before rushing in. Renoa finally gets it. His cautious style, not cowardice, it's risk management. With its armor shattered, the golem's glowing blue core is wide open, now staring down the staggering stone giant. Makoto readies his shadow weapon for the kill. He flashes a confident grin, proving a little planning goes a long way. But obviously the boss isn't just standing there. It swings a brutal punch to wipe them out. The strike completely shatters the ground, but thanks to his quick thinking, they're already clear. Gripping his shadow weapon tight, he prepares to unleash everything. He dashes forward, channeling every ounce of power into one devastating strike at the core. That glowing weak spot is just begging to be smashed, and the golem can only watch it happen. From above, Renoa joins in with a massive shadow hammer, adding her power to his. Still holding hands, of course, because this is officially the most romantic boss beatdown in history, right then. Makoto realizes something huge. He never could have cleared this dungeon completely alone. Rinoa admits she'd be crushed alone. Now watch closely, here is where it gets awesome. Finally understanding their combined strength, he materializes a brand new shadow weapon. With renewed clarity, he unleashes a massive blade of pure shadow, slicing the golem right in half. The blade makes direct contact, completely obliterating the core in a blinding flash of light. Power source totally shattered, the giant stone beast simply crumbles into a heap on the ground. The shadow energy fades from his hand as the wild intensity of battle finally cools down. Our boy is absolutely glowing, just completely hyped up that they actually pulled this off. He's practically bouncing off the walls, shouting that they won. He goes for a high five, but Rinoa just hits him with a soul-crushing, deadpan stare. Classic, Makoto literally has to explain the concept of a high five, which she's just not processing at all. He just chalks it up to her being her usual, weirdly awkward self. Leaving her completely baffled. You and I know what comes after a big win, right? Makoto finds his mentor in a super sketchy alleyway bar. Inside is exactly the vibe you'd expect Amji to hang out in. Booze everywhere, and sure enough, he's at the bar already getting wasted. A little bell chimes as the door opens, announcing Makoto stepping into the room. His mentor doesn't even bother to turn around. Just casually swirling his fancy drink. Without looking back, Amji asks how the heck he found his private little hideout. Makoto explains the chairman totally snitched, mentioning this was his usual hangout spot. With a slight smirk, he admits the training must have paid off big time. He can literally feel the shift in Makoto's aura. This isn't the same kid from 3 days ago. He tells Makoto his growth has completely shattered all his expectations. Our boy just smiles, soaking in the super rare compliment from his perpetually drunk sensei. But the wholesome moment gets interrupted when the bartender mentions a deployment email from the association. Looks like Makoto just got drafted to clear a B-rank dungeon first thing tomorrow morning. Amji slides him a drink, saying this is the perfect chance to show everyone what he's made of. He hypes Makoto up to flex his new skills for the world. Looking more confident than ever, our guy is absolutely fired up for the challenge. They clink glasses, celebrating the end of one trial and the start of another. The scene then flashes back a few hours, inside a Hunter Association meeting room. A high-level meeting is happening, briefing the officials on a massive new dungeon gate. One of the suits immediately suggests calling in hunters, turning to the chairman for the final call. The chairman, looking like a hardened veteran, agrees and asks for the dungeon rank. A researcher with a tablet checks the data. They're dealing with a B rank, and that B rank classification seems to give the old man a very specific idea. He announces he's got a specific hunter in mind, someone he is certain will achieve great things. Everyone listens closely, wondering who this special candidate could be, and of course, Makoto's profile pops up on the big screen. Our boy is getting thrown straight into the fire. The scene jumps to the next day outside Kanto Prefecture. Makoto finds a waiting hunter squad. Trust me, you and I are not ready for this. Right, you and I are about to watch some proper dungeon madness. 10 blokes is a massive squad. But the welcome, absolutely rubbish. A red-haired hunter instantly starts shouting about his dodgy demon contract. Another bloke chimes in, calling him a traitor to anyone who has ever lost family to those literal monsters. Makoto takes the massive verbal beating with a totally blank face. Deep down he thinks, fair enough, and decides to just keep quiet to avoid making things worse. The other hunters keep attacking, calling him useless rubbish who doesn't belong here at all. His tiny spirit partner even pops out, asking if he's really gonna take this disrespect, but Makoto stays cool. Then one bloke goes way too far, suggesting they just execute him. He backs up the threat, cracking a whip made of pure, crackling lightning. But Makoto dodges it effortlessly. His own shadow power wakes up, ready to strike back. But right before Makoto can counterattack, a massive wave of water crashes into the lightning whip. Our boy is completely gobsmacked, caught off guard by this sudden save. A pink-haired hunter steps up, casually reminding everyone that infighting is strictly against the rules. The other blokes panic instantly, realizing it is the famous rank hunter Kadu. She actually offers Makoto a handshake, saying the rules apply to her too, which is a surprisingly chill move for a big shot. That being said, she takes charge immediately, ordering the whole squad to gear up for the mission. Turns out she is a massive influencer and an rank hunter, which totally explains her bossy attitude. Makoto then spots another hunter in the group, a quiet bloke in green, just staring him down from afar. This geezer seems to know exactly who Makoto is, wearing a completely unreadable expression. A few minutes later, the squad hits the B-rank dungeon and steps right into a desolate, boiling hot canyon. Talk about an absolutely brilliant holiday destination, right? Some of the others are already moaning about the heat, but Makoto doesn't look bothered at all. Kadu just struts forward with total confidence, not a single care. Now watch this closely. Their path is suddenly blocked by a massive, bottomless chasm. She stares down into the dark gap, looking a bit worried but not surprised by the drop. Because lurking down there is a literal horde of demons waiting for a slip-up. Bracing herself, Kadu decides her plan is solid and steps up to lead. She asks if anyone has earth or water skills to build a bridge across the massive gap. Makoto pulls up his hood, catching her eye like he is stepping up to volunteer, but instead, she sticks him on guard duty, telling him to watch the demons for any sudden, dodgy movements. Kadu points out that an ambush would put them in serious trouble. She turns to Makoto, looking like she is about to wrap up her little briefing, but with one simple snap of her fingers. Her friendly influencer act completely vanishes. Suddenly, two of the other hunters grab our boy from behind, locking him down tight. Makoto is absolutely stunned, demanding to know what they think they are doing. And Kat calmly explains the team voted for his accidental death today. You and I both know this is absolute cheek. They think he's the dangerous one. Turns out every single hunter on this raid team holds a massive personal grudge. She clarifies that since everyone hates demons, his dark contract makes him the default target for payback. With that, his so-called teammates shove him straight off the cliff into the deadly demon pit. Makoto is absolutely fuming as he freefalls toward the monster swarm below. The others just watch, smugly deciding they will grab his body later, if anything is even left. Kadu even says a completely unhinged sorry, like she just bumped him on the tube, going down. He falls helplessly into the dark abyss. Flashing back to another bitter betrayal, he is absolutely raging that he let his guard down. But as he drops, his hand starts glowing with that familiar, dark shadow power. Renoa suddenly appears right behind him, grabbing his hand and saying she has got this covered. In that instant, he knows this time is different. He isn't alone anymore. A chain of pure shadow energy erupts from his palm, ready to strike hard. It shoots out like a grappling hook, sinking deep into the canyon wall to stop his fall. Hanging from his shadow chain, Makoto and Renoa look down at the massive horde of angry demons. He knows there is absolutely no human way he can climb all the way back up. Plus, the welcoming committee below is a pack of B-rank high demons, a completely new monster class. But trust me, his shadow power is about to steal the entire show. Stick with me here because he is refusing to die today. With Renoa by his side, he is absolutely certain they can win. Meanwhile, his old team has already built their bridge and crossed right over, leaving him for dead without a second thought. That silent hunter in green is still hiding, realizing he needs to act fast but totally clueless. Down in the pit, Makoto decides it is playtime, manifesting an absolutely massive shadow blade. He instantly unleashes a devastating strike, completely shredding his way right through the demon frontline. These monsters look absolutely shocked. This was definitely not the easy meal they were expecting. He and Renoa are perfectly synced up, ready to take on the whole horde. One massive horned demon just gets completely ripped apart. Proof of his insane power boost. Our boy can literally feel the massive difference now. His mana and physical stats are worlds away from what they used to be. Even surrounding him, the demons seem way less eager to jump in. They know he is dangerous. With a casual flick of his wrist, shadow chains erupt right from his hand, pinning down several monsters instantly. This is the payoff for all that grinding. He knows they have this completely under control. Together they unleash a massive crescent wave of shadow energy, wiping out dozens of demons at once. From his hiding spot, the Green Hunter is stunned. Now watch closely. He recognizes Makoto's moves as B rank level, and then a weird blue gem on the back of his hand starts glowing bright, making him lose his grip and drop straight into the abyss himself. Oh boy, this green-clad hunter lets out a totally dignified scream as he plummets down. He becomes best friends with the floor after a brutal crash, somehow in one piece, just incredibly relieved to be breathing. But his new neighbors, the demon horde, are definitely less than thrilled to see him. His brain finally processes the whole "I am about to get eaten alive" part of things. One of the demons lunges forward, ready for a quick snack, and this guy's brilliant counter-strategy is to curl into a ball and literally beg for his life. From across the battlefield, Makoto looks deeply unamused by this entire pathetic little survival display. So with a quick shadow flash, he casually slices the monster right in half to save the screaming guy. This hunter looks up, absolutely stunned, and somehow already knows Makoto by his actual name. Our boy, however, has absolutely no clue who this dude is, and just asks him straight up. After a super quick thank you, the hunter is honestly just happy to not be Demon Chow. He introduces himself as Isumi Yuki, admitting they have never actually met. Makoto recognizes the name instantly, the youngest registered hunter. He also thought the famous rookie was a girl, which is super awkward. Yuki just laughs it off, clarifying he is totally a dude. Which is exactly when Renoa pops up, straight up calling him a liar. Makoto tries explaining gender presentation to his demon spirit, who is still processing things, but then our boy remembers something pretty huge. I know what you're thinking, how did Yuki know his name? Yuki smiles, cryptically explaining he has watched Makoto for a while. Yuki reveals he has actually been secretly observing Makoto for years. Admiring his never-give-up attitude, he even calls our boy his ultimate role model for courage, which makes Makoto feel pretty embarrassed. This guy is just mind-blown, realizing someone actually looked up to him during his absolute weakest days. When asked why he is here, Yuki admits he was so worried he tripped down a cliff. A true stealth master, folks. Seeing a kindred spirit in this clumsy rookie, Makoto actually offers him a spot in his party. Yuki accepts in a heartbeat, grabbing his hand like he just won the jackpot. With their newest member officially recruited, it is finally time to ditch this demon-infested pit. But first Makoto has to finish cleaning up, tying the last monsters with his shadow chains. He unleashes one final strike to wipe the remaining demons off the map. From the sidelines, Yuki watches Makoto and Renoa show off their effortless, insane power. This kid is completely starstruck, looking exactly like he just met his absolute childhood hero. Makoto flashes a smug smirk, feeling pretty great about his new strength while Yuki hypes him up. His brand new fanboy then asks for the secret to his power, desperate to get just as strong. Our boy gets a bit flustered, and Renoa helpfully points out they were holding hands while fighting. This suddenly triggers a horrible flashback for Yuki, a fiery scene where he is accused of killing his own comrades. Trust me, we are hooked, he desperately explains it was not his fault. Stick with me here, this vision shows him standing over his defeated friends, insisting he never wanted any of this to happen. His face is just pure, absolute terror. Snapping back to the present, Makoto quickly apologizes for triggering a bad memory as a small flame pops up in Yuki's hand. Makoto gets it right away. This poor kid has some serious trauma regarding his own powers. Makoto drops down to eye level to comfort the panicking kid. He tells Yuki he knows he has been trying his absolute best, giving him some much-needed validation. The kid is totally overwhelmed, and his tiny fire spirit is just as stunned by this sudden kindness. Makoto drops some hard-earned wisdom, explaining how genuine effort is never actually wasted. He adds that simply wanting to help is more than enough for now, zero pressure. Yuki is literally on the verge of tears, realizing nobody has ever shown this kind of faith in him before. With a fresh fire in his heart, he clenches his fist as the blue gem glows with fierce determination. Standing up, he gives Makoto a deeply sincere thank you, finally looking completely stable. Yuki then makes a solemn vow to become a source of strength for his brand new hero. Our boy just smiles, totally relieved, while Renoa watches like a proud mom. And just like that, the new trio sets off to conquer the dungeon, with Renoa flying escort. Now watch closely because things are about to escalate. 10 hours later, Kadu's traitor squad finally reaches the mountain peak, right in the middle of a massive dungeon boss fight. A giant demon boss named Emperor Bile, Kadu takes charge, ordering her terrified teammates to get behind her while she finishes her spell prep. The massive demon boss charges straight at her, ready to flatten the entire squad, but she unleashes her trump card, summoning a giant water spirit for a massive attack. A literal tidal wave of ice spears absolutely wrecks the boss. Seriously flashy move. Emperor Bile roars in pain, completely overpowered by the sheer force of her magic spell. The attack leaves behind a literal rainbow, and her squad is totally amazed by her insane power. Kadu smugly announces the boss is dead, checking if everyone is doing okay, the ones she didn't try to murder, but their little victory party gets instantly ruined by a massive shadow claw dropping from above. Kadu immediately senses some terrifyingly violent mana, realizing that boss was not the main event. With a heavy stomp, a new challenger lands on the battlefield, radiating pure, absolute menace. A horned Majin casually holds a boulder, complaining that moving around so much drains his mana. The rest of the team goes into complete panic mode, recognizing this guy as a top-tier threat. Then he trips, accidentally stepping on the dead boss. What a truly graceful entrance. Two of her minions decide he looks weak, super confident they can win with Kadu around. So they charge forward with a brilliant plan to create an opening. Kadu screams at the absolute idiots, telling them not to act so recklessly. And in a flash, both of them are instantly completely obliterated for their trouble. She can only stare in horror, the Majin's silhouette reflecting in her widened eyes. He looks at his hand, musing they were way too weak to beat the Emperor. Pointing directly at Kadu. You and I both know this is bad news. He correctly guesses she is the real winner, casually asking for a fight, so she orders her remaining team to run. They don't need to be told twice, immediately scattering like cockroaches right out of the light. This Majin introduces himself as Haga, then politely asks for her name. Kadu just flares up her water spirit, refusing to give a demon her name. Unfazed, Haga just smirks, saying he will just have to make her talk. He then unleashes a devastating attack that shatters her water defenses. Her face says it all, completely outclassed. Haga moves like an absolute blur, driving his knee straight into Kadu's stomach. She is in total shock, completely unable to react to his insane speed. The heavy impact sends her violently flying across the ground like a literal ragdoll. She is left coughing on the dirt, completely breathless from that single, devastating hit. He looms right over her, casually asking for her name again like nothing even happened. But even now she spits pure defiance, absolutely refusing to tell a demon anything. Unfazed, Haga just says fine, forming a dark energy attack shaped like a rose. He prepares to finish it with one single word, die. Kadu can only stare in horror, bracing for the inevitable end. But suddenly, a purple chain whips out and completely shatters the dark attack. Trust me, you're going to love this. The new challenger is our boy Makoto. Alright, jump in with me. Makoto steps right between Kadu and the demon, shadow chains locked and loaded. With Renoa floating behind him, he tells the monster playtime is over. Makoto instantly goes on the attack, whipping his chains forward. Haga is forced to dodge, while the rest of the peanut gallery just watches in pure shock. His old squad is totally stunned, wondering how Makoto is still alive. Makoto tells Yuki to get Kadu out of the danger zone, and the kid quickly listens. As they drag her away, Kadu asks why he would save her after she literally backstabbed him. He just casually says it is the right thing to do. With his back turned and his awesome power glowing, Yuki carefully leads Kadu away, leaving Makoto totally alone to face down the Mahin. With the audience at a safe distance, Makoto and Haga square up in the crater-filled arena. Our boy actually chuckles, super hyped for a real fight, while Renoa watches closely. Haga sizes him up, taking notes on the shadow skills and his fallen angel sidekick. He realizes this is the overpowered human he has been hearing rumors about and gets incredibly hyped. Flashing an evil grin, the demon decides it is time to start this party. Now pay attention, he lunges forward in an absolute blur, closing the gap instantly. Makoto meets the charge head-on, their fists clashing in a massive, glowing explosion of energy. The impact sends a crazy shockwave ripping across the whole battlefield. Haga scrapes his claws against Makoto's shadow blade, but does not even leave a single scratch. The demon follows up with a high kick that our guy dodges effortlessly. Makoto hits back, whipping out his trusty shadow chains for a quick lockdown. They instantly wrap around Haga, completely pinning his body right in the middle of his attack. But the demon just smirks, acting totally unbothered by getting trapped. Using the chains, Makoto swings him like a ragdoll and slams him into the dirt, following up with a devastating shadow punch straight to the chest. Haga winces and grits his teeth as that solid hit lands. For once, Makoto's shadow straight up morphs into a brand new weapon, showing off his insane upgraded control. Meanwhile, Kadu's useless old goons just stand around watching, literally contributing absolutely nothing to the fight. These two absolute beasts just smile at each other, totally admitting this is way too fun. Kadu is absolutely floored. She cannot believe Makoto is going toe-to-toe with the demon she could not even scratch. Then she finally has a reality check, admitting she would just be useless out there. Back to the wild action, Haga's glowing red claws screech violently right against Makoto's epic shadow sword. The demon jumps back to get some breathing room, swearing he will win with raw brute force. Then he forms a crazy sinister ball of energy, mocking our boy's slick dodging skills. Makoto braces for impact, not even flinching at the massive attack headed right for his face. With dramatic flair, Haga blasts his extreme darkness ray, because honestly, subtlety is for total losers. The blast is so huge that Yuki has to shield Kadu and her lackey from the shockwave. Through the thick smoke, Haga just stands there looking smug, convinced he has won. He even starts giving Makoto cocky advice, telling him to leave more openings for his big moves. But right while he is monologuing, Makoto teleports behind him and delivers a brutal gut punch. Haga spits up blood, completely dazed by the lightning-fast counterattack. This forces him to pop a new skill called Red Blood Death Law. A massive wave of creepy blood erupts from his body, finally forcing Makoto to take a step back. I know what you're thinking, that's nasty. Our boy watches, genuinely shocked by this gross new tactic. The blood literally turns into a swarm of razor-sharp spikes that crash hard into his shadow weapon. These bloody spikes shoot up from the ground everywhere, turning the entire battlefield into a massive danger zone. Haga stands right in the middle of his creepy masterpiece, while Makoto figures out he can actually manipulate blood. Makoto looks way more curious than scared, wondering if this is a demon's super unique ability. The demon confirms it, explaining that all demons actually possess a broken power called dark art. He reveals he used it because Makoto is the exact human his boss, Grom, is so interested in. Haga proudly declares his absolute loyalty to Grom, offering to teach Makoto a lesson. Then he drops a whole lecture on demon power levels, revealing that his big boss is basically mid-tier. Makoto processes the insane math. The guy who wrecked Kadu is just a low-level lackey, and his boss is somehow even stronger. Haga mockingly asks if our guy is losing hope now that he knows he is fighting a literal pawn. With that, he casually kicks off round 2 by sending a massive tidal wave of blood spikes forward. But Makoto doesn't flinch. He powers up his shadows, and trust me, we are just getting started. Alright mates, stick with me here. You are about to watch him dodge a literal storm of bloody projectiles. His shadow morphs into this epic shield, blocking a massive spike. Haga just stares, genuinely shocked that his attack got completely neutralized. Then our main guy summons a giant shadow scythe. Leaving the demon totally speechless at his weapon, the Majin smirks, reminding Makoto not to underestimate him. In a split second, Makoto closes the gap, diving straight into a close-quarters brawl. His hand is glowing with pure shadow energy, daring the demon to match his crazy speed. Jaga grumbles about Makoto's busted powers, complaining that fighting smart opponents is just a massive, annoying headache. Makoto fires off a flurry of crescent moon shadow blades, making Jaga scramble just to survive. One of those blades actually lands. It slices right across the demon's chest, drawing first blood. This absolutely pisses the demon off, whining about the hassle. Meanwhile, the crowd is gobsmacked, and Renoa looks so proud watching Makoto go full offense. A pool of Majin blood drips onto the floor, solid proof he is taking real damage. Makoto stands his ground, completely ready for round 2, while the bleeding demon preps a counterattack. Haga flashes this incredibly wicked grin, announcing he just thought of a brilliant new way to be terrifying. Now watch closely. Suddenly, massive blood whips erupt right from the ground, completely trapping Yuki and Kadu's squad. Kadu and the crew are totally paralyzed, caught completely off guard by the cheap sneak attack. Even Makoto gets snagged, calling Haga out for his pathetic, cowardly tactics. The demon thinks it is game over, ready to crush his new hostages. The whole team starts panicking, realizing they are totally defenseless, and this is going horribly wrong. Kadu just braces herself for the impact, knowing she is about to face a world of pain. Then flash, a brutal invisible force slams down out of nowhere. She just stares, completely shocked. Blood splatters her cheek as she tries to process what just happened. Turns out Makoto threw himself in front of the squad. The absolute madman is standing there, skewered by massive blood spikes just to keep them safe. Kadu is absolutely baffled, asking why he would take a hit for the literal backstabbers. Even though he is literally impaled and trapped, Makoto grits his teeth and claims he has got this. Yuki is totally losing his mind, screaming they need to free him right now. The kid admits he has been grinding his powers, but using them in a real fight still terrifies him. Jaga just laughs at Makoto playing hero, charging up an even bigger attack with another ridiculously dramatic name. Yuki watches in sheer horror, totally frozen, as the massive blood storm rushes towards them. But here is what changes everything. You remember Makoto's advice, right? Hard work always pays off. Pumped with fresh determination, Yuki swears that someday he will be strong enough to be useful. Well, today is that day. His fist literally starts glowing with intense, fiery energy. Totally fueled by Makoto believing in him. Yuki channels a massive firestorm into his fist, screams he is saving his mentor, and launches a mega attack. This insane power spike catches Makoto and Haga completely off guard. The blast actually forms a massive, terrifyingly cheerful smiley face. This hilariously goofy explosion absolutely swallows Jaga's entire deadly blood spike trap. The roaring flames instantly vaporize the blood whips, freeing the whole squad. As the smoke clears, the ground is totally scorched, but everyone is miraculously safe. Kadu just stares, totally mind-blown that the little guy she overlooked packed that kind of firepower. Makoto lands smoothly on his feet, looking super impressed by his student's epic debut. Haga, looking pretty crispy, sarcastically claps for Yuki, almost blowing up his own bloody team. But Yuki fires back. The old him might have messed up, but now he is fully in control. Right then, a slick purple flash cuts the last bloody vines. It is Makoto, standing tall and spinning his shadow sword like a boss. He glances back at the squad, admitting that flashy entrance was actually a huge help. Our boy flashes Yuki a genuine grin, calling his backup absolutely top tier. Yuki is absolutely buzzing, pumping his fist like he won the jackpot. Haga is shell-shocked, realizing the kid actually controlled the blast perfectly. Standing next to his mentor, Yuki declares he is finally ready for a real scrap. Makoto gives him a solid fist bump, officially welcoming him to the fight. Trust me, you and I know a kid chucking precision nukes is a massive problem Haga needs to solve fast. Alright, stick with me because Haga is completely ditching fair play, charging up some sinister energy. Makoto's danger sense is absolutely screaming right now, warning him a massive attack is incoming fast. The guy whips out his secret demonic art because every bad guy needs an ultimate move. A blood-red symbol forms on his chest, completely eclipsing our two heroes. Then he unleashes the Bloodstorm Fang Tempest, an absolutely terrifying name for a crazy attack. Our guy realizes he is in deep trouble, admitting there is zero chance he deflects everything. But right before he gets absolutely shredded, Yuki grabs him tightly from behind. He steps up with total confidence, telling his mentor to just leave it to him. Using his fire powers, Yuki activates his own special move, basically giving himself literal rocket boots. He zooms across the battlefield in a fiery blur, intercepting the massive attack head-on. Haga grinds his teeth, clearly ticked off that the sidekick is actually being super useful. After the smoke clears, Yuki is completely gone, leaving the demon totally confused and looking around. Now pay close attention here. With his target missing, Haga goes back to murdering the hostages, but suddenly a bright light from above catches his eye. It is Yuki, who apparently learned how to fly, carrying Makoto to a safe spot. Haga just mocks their little air show, calling them sitting ducks for his very next barrage. From below, a massive storm of blood spikes shoots up to hit them, refusing to betray Makoto's trust at all. Yuki preps a massive fire attack in his hands. He drops his own wildly named ultimate move, the Supernova Maximum Burst. This huge blast of fire clashes against the blood storm in a spectacular, earth-shattering explosion. The blast clears out, leaving our boys hovering in mid-air while Haga just stares upward. The Majin is losing his mind, screaming about how his ultimate demonic secret art got neutralized. With the enemy wide open, Makoto drops like a missile, scythe fully ready to end this fight. Haga tries to regroup for one last strike, totally miscalculating how much energy he has left. He desperately tries summoning more blood magic, but only gets a few pathetic drops. Then comes the horrifying realization. Yuki's fire literally evaporated all his ammo. The guy is completely out of blood. Turns out, Makoto noticed this exact effect during Yuki's very first attack, seeing the heat vaporize the blood. You and I both know that was a genius setup. He baited the attack perfectly to make the demon powerless. Back to reality, Makoto's blade closes in on the defenseless demon's face. Our guy brings down the massive shadow scythe in a brutal, sweeping arc to end the match. The strike slices right through Haga, sending a massive spray of blood into the air. Makoto stands over his fallen opponent, looking like the literal Grim Reaper collecting a debt. In a crazy twist, Haga actually admits defeat, conceding that the human has officially won. But then he wildly impales himself with his very own spikes. Offering his life for his boss Grom, Makoto just watches, totally blinded by this sudden and insanely dramatic self-destruction sequence. Right as the deadly explosion is about to happen, Yuki flies in screaming that he will not allow it. Suddenly, a mysterious winged figure spawns out of absolutely nowhere, completely intercepting the huge blast. This newcomer gets completely swallowed by the fiery explosion, absorbing the full force of Haga's final attack. Yuki and Kadu can only stare in utter shock while this unknown player completely tanks the hit. This winged demon lands safely, and our heroes realize they are in deep trouble since their plan just failed. Makoto swoops in to catch Yuki, who is still pretty wobbly after his massive fiery debut. His student is overflowing with gratitude, but Makoto flips the script, saying he should be the one thanking him. The guy gives Yuki full credit for the victory, admitting their team strategy was honestly the only way to win. This praise hits the kid right in the feels, and the waterworks immediately start flowing. And when I say waterworks, I mean a total emotional breakdown as he sobs from pure relief. This winged demon points out he made an innocent girl cry, sending Makoto into a crazy spiral of absolute confusion. Meanwhile, Kadu's team watches from afar, totally mind-blown that they actually took down Imagine. They finally approach, showering our boys with praise and calling them absolute heroes for saving their butts. But their little gratitude party gets rudely interrupted by a super loud and incredibly angry shout. It is the pink-haired girl, who is absolutely furious they are not apologizing to Makoto first. She shuts down their hero worship, demanding they show some real remorse for betraying him earlier. So what do you and I make of this messy ending? One guy grabs her, forcing an awful apology, explaining her prejudice came from losing her brother to a demon, so she just assumed everyone was evil. All right, stick with me. After seeing Makoto risk his life, she admits she was completely wrong. He was not a monster at all. He is a true hunter who protects people no matter what. With that, the squad finally gets the message and bows in a formal apology. Makoto, being the bigger person, just smiles and says he totally gets why they were scared. He even takes some of the blame, telling them to keep their heads up, it is fine. The pink-haired girl isn't having it, insisting a simple bow just isn't enough to make up. But Makoto cuts her off. Her sincerity is obvious, no extra humiliation needed. Always the better guy, he just hits them with a gentle, understanding smile. This sudden kindness, completely short-circuits the pink-haired girl's brain right on the spot. She starts thanking him, still pretty dazed by the whole crazy situation. Then she goes full fangirl, calling him Makatachi and hyping him up. She even swears to repay her life debt, leaving Makoto totally confused. Our boy tries to brush it off, insisting there is absolutely no debt to speak of. Fast forward to the next day at Hunter headquarters, getting briefed by the president himself. The old man praises him for leading the charge against the Majin, a job well done. As a reward for his epic heroism, the president shakes his hand and officially cancels his punishment. Makoto is absolutely hyped to hear they will make a public announcement tomorrow clearing his name, but right then, an assistant bursts in with terrible news. Now watch closely because everything goes sideways. His identity leaked to the media, leaving them totally stunned. News outlets are already running stories about the association hiding a literal demon contractor. Makoto's face drops as the awful reality hits him. His big secret is now public enemy number one. Outside the Hunter Association building, the situation is escalating way out of control. A massive mob of reporters demands answers, turning the place into an absolute zoo. Watching from his office, the president winces. He admits this is the worst-case scenario. He immediately orders his staff to set up an emergency press conference for some major damage control. Makoto tries to apologize, but the president takes full responsibility for backing him up. For his own safety, Makoto gets told to stay hidden in a secure safe room until this massive storm passes over. He grits his teeth, hating being benched while his life crumbles, but he clenches his fist and agrees, knowing he is basically out of options. That exact same afternoon, the association scrambles to prepare a press conference in the main hall. The president steps up to the podium, ready to face the crazy media frenzy. He cuts straight to the chase, confirming yes, a hunter contracted a literal demon. One reporter instantly jumps up, accusing the entire association of working with the enemy. The president flat out denies it, explaining the demon is an ancient divine spirit, completely harmless. You and I both know the internet is ruthless. From the safe room monitor, Makoto watches the public having a total meltdown online. His demon companion realizes humanity's pure hatred is honestly way more intense than she ever expected. Makoto tries defending her, insisting she isn't evil, but nobody is listening right now. Back at the press conference, a reporter drops the big question: can they guarantee public safety? Suddenly, a brand new voice cuts in, volunteering to answer that exact question himself. Enter a flashy, long-haired blonde hunter, waving to the cameras like an absolute rock star. He introduces himself as Amaji, an S-rank hunter, which drives the press wild. The guy casually takes the podium, just radiating main character energy. Then he reassures everyone that if Makoto becomes a threat, he will take him out personally. The crowd eats it up. Reporters demand Makoto be executed on the spot. Others start screaming for proof, demanding to know why Makoto isn't there defending himself. Amaji shoots them a cold look, saying the mob would literally tear Makoto apart. He casually admits the leak made things messy, and yeah, this disaster is being broadcasted live for the whole world to witness in real time. Our protagonist watches from the safe room as the online mob screams for his head. Then he spots a stream notification. Something completely new is happening. His eyes go wide as it clicks. It is an emergency livestream from Sarah's channel, promising to expose him. A reporter at the conference suddenly yells for everyone to pull up influencer Sarah Kato's live broadcast. Trust me, you're gonna want to see what happens next. The president and Amaji look furious, while Makoto helplessly watches things get worse. This stream kicks off with a super upbeat tropical intro, because obviously it is a serious story, and there she is, our pink-haired girl. Now an influencer named Sarah promises some secret leaked footage. Stick with me because we are about to see this evil demon contractor's real nature. The video rolls, showing leaked footage of Makoto from his previous brutal fight. The press was fully locked in, ready to record every evil act he was supposedly planning to commit. On screen, he is clashing against the machine Haga in an absolutely brutal showdown. In the footage, Haga lands a totally vicious strike, sending our boy flying backward. Then it cuts to a tight close-up of the demon's terrifying fanged grin, right before Makoto gets impaled by massive blood spikes, looking like it is completely game over. The reporters just stand there in stunned silence, completely unable to process what they are watching. And the last thing they see is a shot of his sinister shadow weapon, fully prepped for a deadly counterattack. The broadcast then shows Makoto taking an absolute beating from the Majin attacks, before fading to a still image of our guy and his partner, wrapping up the supposed evil montage. Back at the press conference, all the reporters are absolutely glued to their phones, watching this wild situation unfold. Agai shoots the president a super smug look, clearly loving this absolute disaster of a PR strategy. On her stream, Sarah actually apologizes for the clickbait title, explaining she just needed everyone to see the real truth. Her video then drops the massive question: after watching him risk his life, can they still call him dangerous? You are gonna want to see this. She looks dead serious, ready to drop truth bombs on a clueless internet mob. Her voiceover calls Makoto more noble than anyone else out there, a genuine hunter who actually protects the innocent. Sarah gets super passionate, telling her viewers they can cancel her all they want, but they absolutely need to believe in him. And then she drops to her knees and bows, literally begging the entire chat to trust what they just witnessed. Down in the press room, the reporters start whispering, finally admitting he did not look like a bad guy. Meanwhile, Sarah is totally back in fangirl mode, hype screaming that no hunter has ever been this unbelievably cool. Her chat completely flips, flooding with massive support messages, which instantly brings real tears to her eyes. She looks at the camera, hoping Makoto is watching and that this helps repay her debt. Our boy is completely stunned, deeply moved that she would stick her neck out like this. He lowers his head, quietly whispering a thank you for her insane level of support. With her job done, Sarah signs off with a super cheerful wave, mission officially accomplished. Back at the conference, the entire vibe has shifted, all thanks to one massive flex by an influencer. Amri smiles, telling the president they probably do not need a Q and A anymore, so the boss steps up one last time, declaring Makoto is the exact hunter this world desperately needs. We both saw that coming, right? With her epic closer, Sarah's game-changing broadcast finally wraps up. Makoto is completely overwhelmed by the love, just letting his partner look after him. But our guy clenches his fist, tearfully declaring his mission to save the world is still on, and his partner is right there, confirming that was always their master plan from the very start. Then comes a massive time skip. Several years later, a massive gate has spawned and the hunters are rallying. The press goes absolutely wild when a reporter screams that the main squad is finally arriving. It is a total media circus for the arrival of humanity's strongest and most celebrated hunters. The camera zooms in on a familiar figure rocking purple gear, and the reporter straight up loses his mind. And there he is, a much older, battle-scarred Makoto, now standing tall as a massively celebrated public hero. He is rolling with his partner Amji and even Sarah, all teamed up like an absolute dream squad. Our boy takes a quiet second, realizing he only made it this far because of the real ones who stood by him. He gives a massive shout-out to his partner Reno for sticking around through the chaos. She just smiles, saying fighting by his side is literally her entire reason for existing. A true ride-or-die partner. Loaded with confidence, Makoto declares they will crush the demons and bring back the light for everyone. And just like that, hand in hand, he and Reno lead the epic charge into the battle with allies right behind. What a ride we shared.